My son, we do not fight because the world makes us fight. We fight for a greater purpose. We forge into the unknown to fulfill the promise we made. No matter the darkness, nothing will stand in our way. Again.
Yeah, we're talking about God of War. We're gonna talk about all God, all
gods,
all gods in the wars. So we're gonna kick off. We're gonna talk about God of War 2018 and then God of War Ragnarok coming up. No one has been provided a review code, so there's got to be a lot of speculation. But we're pretty good at guessing. I mean,
yeah, I feel like we've played a lot of games, we've watched a lot of stuff.
But anyway, let's rewind back. God of War 2018. Tay, you played it at launch, right?
Yeah.
And then Bryan, when did you?
I played
play
it like 3 years after launch. Like
I
2 years
also
I replayed
launch.
it before I got my PS5 too, so I played it twice.
That is God of War 2018 is probably because I played The Last of Us 1, Last of Us 2, and then immediately jumped into God of War 2018.
Delicious.
That was I was eating good
That sounds
for like those 3 months. It was like I had 3 amazing single player campaign experiences, and I remember God of War. Like I love the Last of Us in terms of like gameplay, but I remember just being absolutely enthralled with the story of God of War 2018, from like beginning to end. It was such a satisfying little like story-driven campaign, refreshing at the time too. Because I just got off Spider-Man, then I played 3 amazing like single-player campaigns. God of War was probably my favorite PS4 game. It's like tied with Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, that's me. Spider-Man PS4 is my favorite PlayStation game, but God of War is the better game.
Yeah.
That's how I view things. So it's like,
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I fucking adored God of War 2018.
It's one of the few games where I think of and still remember like it was yesterday, like the story beats and characters and all that stuff. No other game does that with me. Not to my knowledge. Like Mimir is like one of the best supporting characters I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, you could just I could sit there and watch it, listen to him talk and everything.
There's like I think he does the book for God of War, not the novelization or whatever.
Ooh, the audiobook?
Like something I saw years ago.
Ooh,
I gotta find that somewhere.
I would totally, I'd be into that.
I love God of War. I think God of War 2018 is a masterclass in storytelling.
Did you guys play the previous God of Wars prior to this?
Yeah, I played them when I was on PS2.
Yeah,
and they were what happened?
I played Dante's Inferno. I played
rip off.
I played Dante's Inferno. I played Ghost Rider. Yeah, I played God of War.
Combined team God of War. Or Kratos was just constantly angry.
Yeah.
Those games.
Ares!
Zeus! Yeah, they were fun. They're completely different games in terms of story and gameplay. Like Kratos wasn't really a character prior. He was just this angry man, hate gods for valid reasons.
Yeah.
It didn't go beyond that.
It was a different time and place for that kind of market.
Yeah, it was the how people call it, like it was the Bayonetta or Ninja Gaiden type of game in terms of like,
it was just an action slasher.
Because there wasn't like really deep stories.
No.
Because like the soft reboot for 2018 was such a
it's influenced by Last
crazy
of Us and all those games that got better at storytelling.
Yeah, well, I think that so in God of War 3, the one that came out for PS3, I started seeing inklings of them wanting to tell like a much more dramatic story. Because that's like that's the game where like Kratos is like coming to terms with the fact that he's the asshole. Yeah, like he's the one that's fucking everything up. Yeah. He feels guilty about killing all these gods. He fucked up like Olympus or whatever the fuck. And you see that like really start weighing in on him at the end of God of War 3. And like that was like the first inkling that I was like, oh, maybe they're trying to do something interesting with Kratos as a character. They didn't quite get to it in God of War 3. Yeah. And then the franchise went silent for like what, like
5 years.
Five or 6 years?
They came back. They did Ascension, right?
Ascension was a prequel to all of them. Ascension takes
place but that takes place after, or they made that game after 3, right?
Ascension came out 2013.
Okay, that was the last one they made before 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that coming said, like I think that the franchise going quiet, and the fuck was that?
I'm not sure you can
He ripped his pants.
SpongeBob.
So the franchise going quiet and then waiting for 5 years and then coming back with God of War 2018. I think that the studio did the best possible thing that they could have, which is like fundamentally change the entire formula.
I think Corey Barlog in a documentary stated that. I can't really quote it. It's been a while since I watched it, but I remember him. He was very stressed making this game because he wasn't guaranteed like it's gonna be like. He was really doubtful with the game development.
It could have been very divisive.
Yeah.
You talking about God of War 3?
2018.
No, 2018.
When they were developing, what Bryan just said was kind of what Borlock was kind of going through during the process of making the game. Like he was kind of Sony allowed the game to happen, sure, but he's like, is this going to work in today's age? This type of game we're making,
yeah,
and clearly it paid off.
So like, and then like that is so we got the remakes and the reboots. Like the Resident Evil franchise has essentially gotten rebooted by virtue of the remakes.
Yeah.
So Silent Hill is going to do the same thing. So there's like two avenues to go through, which is you just reimagine the original game in like such a brand fresh presentation or such a brand new presentation that it counts as like a reboot, or you go the God of War route and then you completely remake the formula of your game. You completely change it up, and then you find a way to marry the continuity from your past game into this new game.
That's how you do it.
And tell a different story. And I think that is the best way to make a reboot of a franchise.
Yeah.
Resident Evil did it with Resident Evil 7 to a much lesser degree. Mm-hmm. But like God of War 2018, the jump from God of War 3 and Ascension to God of War 2018, it's an amazing, it's like the best way that you can reboot a franchise, in my opinion. They fucking nailed it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it's completely different gameplay and just a whole vaguely the same story, or not the same story, but
it's the same,
like it takes some assets, but they pretty much stripped. Essentially you could say that they had a whole game and they just didn't know they had like the formula for the gameplay and all that, and they were like, well, what are we gonna name this character? What's the story gonna be? And they just took some old assets from God of War and they're like, okay, well, we're going to use Kratos, and then we're going to put him in this whole new setting, and we're going to have these type of story beats. Because it seemed like the story that they wanted to tell was something with family. In God of War, like 3, 2, 1, it's like he has a complicated family issue. I know there's not like a deep story in there, but that's the overall theme. It's like how fucked up is your family, and then you lose, loss, and all that shit, and then 2018 come along, and then they just not like just morphed that, and they took they tried to salvage the best they could. Yeah. And then they have still a little like inklings here and there throughout the story, but they took that wonky little story and then they brought it into like this.
They elevated it.
Yeah, elevated to a higher degree.
And I don't necessarily think. I think that the goal was to always make a God of War game that looked like this. I don't necessarily believe the idea that they had a base for a game and then they slapped God of War into it. I think that the idea was when they were making a God of War, the idea was to grow it up, to age it up with the audience,
modernize it.
Not modernize it, to literally make the franchise grow up with the audience that played it. Yeah. Because like Kratos is like a young, angry guy. And then in 2018, he's matured. He's like realized that anger is not the way. He realizes that it's a tool, not necessarily the way to live your life.
The consequence of killing a god. He later says that like can't kill a gods and all that shit. Yeah.
So I think
it's smarter too.
You're right in that maybe they developed like the gameplay elements and then they figured out how to tie it together to God of War. Mm-hmm. Sure. But I think that the idea of like elevating the themes of God of War was always the goal when they were bringing back the franchise.
That's why he was kind of worried too, Corey. Because like,
how do you do that? Because it's a time and place for that type of story back in that day. So to make it a modern, elevated story was probably kind of difficult for them.
But they're completely different type of games compared to the previous and this one. This Ragnarok are completely different games from the past, and it was like, you know, there's a minority. Like, there's people out there that do not like 2018's combat. Like they don't, because they don't like it because it's not the God of War they grew up with.
I actually don't love the combat in God of War 2018. I think that the combat gets repetitive really easily, and I think that the boss fights could have used. My biggest critique is the boss fights are kind of like really repetitive.
Yeah, let's get into some gameplay here.
The boss fights are less epic compared to the previous games, but they make sense in this game.
They're also not trying to be as big as the other games. Yeah. But the combat for the gameplay, to me, can get a little bit repetitive and a little bit stale. The more like you play through the game, especially if you're like blazing through it, like every day you sit down and play for 2 hours kind of thing, it can get really stale because there's not a whole lot of interest in like the combo mechanics, in my opinion, and like the camera angle can still be a little bit wonky. So like enemies will come from behind and surprise you.
I love that one camera angle thing. I was about to cut you off, but they made that for you feel like you're part of Kratos' adventure.
Yeah. I love the Warner perspective.
Yeah.
It's the way that the camera sits on him when he's like fighting. To me, feels a little too close. Mm-hmm. And so like the combat for me is not perfect. I feel like the combat for me is like the least interesting part of the game. But the story for the game and the presentation for the game was so fucking good.
It carries
that it carried me through the combat. Even in moments when I wasn't having like a lot of fun with the combat, I was like, all right, but I want to find out what happens to Atreus.
Yeah.
And like the moments that I loved the combat more was when it was really difficult. You know, like when the combat system was challenging me to like in a really like the Valkyrie fight. That fight kicked my ass.
Yeah.
But
that game I played on normal, but that game was never quote unquote hard to me.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly difficult, but I played it in the hard difficulty.
Okay.
And there were some fights that like just felt like bullet sponges. Mm-hmm. Like the enemies just had higher HP.
That's a common criticism regarding 2018 is like bullet sponges, but they call them like slash sponges or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're hitting them and it's like they don't fucking die or whatever.
They don't react.
Yeah, I heard a criticism literally yesterday too. That's a common thing with God of War.
So like the gameplay for God of War for me is a little bit lackluster, but the gameplay is so ingrained into the story of God of War and the philosophy of making it like a one-er, just a one take. It ties everything together super nicely. So I feel like I can overlook a lot of the critiques that I have for the gameplay for like enjoying the whole game as a whole. But also like when your biggest critique is like, gameplay's a little repetitive sometimes. It's like, it's a good thing.
That's so surprising because I had the opposite. I was engaged through the entire story at all times, then I felt like just the raw beatdown of it was awesome. I was like, I was always engaged through the entire story.
When you say that, so are you saying is it okay? The combat's not bad. It's just not the best or whatever.
Yeah, it's not bad. It just could have been.
You think,
in my opinion, way more interesting.
Like they should have added more combos or something like that. Like you just had to do the same thing over. Now, you can just play the exact same way every time, but the way I played was like I figured out little like combos and I kept elevating my skills.
Yeah, yeah, but it's more like how tight it is compared to the previous one. It ain't no Ninja Gaiden. Like what's name's like a Ninja Gaiden. The previous games.
I think there was plenty of like options too for your like play style to kind of like go down certain routes and be like try different stuff out. I mean, I was testing stuff out constantly.
I'm just not that kind of player.
Yeah,
you know, like I like crafting, like the armor system and everything like that are things that I really like don't engage with often.
Oh
like
man,
in God of War,
that's new to the series when they did that. The crafting and armor,
and I feel like they were following it. Like that's probably a compromise with the studio where they were like following a trend because that was a trend in the industry back then. But it's not like it's a bad thing. I just don't engage with it. I don't find it particularly interesting. I want a skill tree, and I want like the more you level up, the more strong you get. The more
you would kill yourself if you had to play Valhalla, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That skill tree is the most absurdly dude.
Assassin's Creed a skill tree?
They added it after Odyssey.
I didn't know that.
Dude, it is the most insanely huge skill tree I've ever seen in my life. And it is like, I was like, there's no fucking way I could read all of this. Like, I'm just guessing at this point.
Frontier's skill tree is hilarious.
That Sonic has a skill tree too.
There's like 10 things.
Skyrim's ruined people.
So like, I just never engaged with that type of the gameplay. And I feel like a lot of like the gameplay was involved with the crafting.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a better health, then you have to find materials to go find this armor and like craft this thing so you can last longer in a fight. But I was like, I just want to I just want to hit things, man. Like, I don't want to fucking go craft to like look for materials. And I didn't particularly find a need to explore the world in God of War 2018. Like, I was kind of just following the storyline.
Yeah.
And so, like, I never had any reason to go explore unless I was getting my ass beat in something. And at that point, I'm frustrating.
That's my one probably hard complaint about God of War 2018 was just I did not like the linear open world stuff that they were doing.
Yeah.
It felt like I just did not want to explore at all. Like, the only thing that was driving me to go to explore was to look for crafting materials for my armor, because I actually do enjoy like doing the whole armor and then like slightly upgrading here and then be like, okay, I could build this, equip this out, find this armor and so forth. But that world is so weirdly put together that looking around and then just the movement around in the boat and everything, I was like, can I go here? Is this like in the game, or is this like, it's not like open, so I can't just like willy-nilly go out somewhere. But sometimes I would just go, or trying to just get onto land, and I'm like, I gotta find like a little place to put my boat, and I'm like, I can't get on the boat.
Tedious. It's so like, but it's like the closed off of the camera and like the slow pace of the movement like doesn't necessarily align with an open world experience. So like that was like my biggest point of friction with the game. That was that. But fucking dude, the story's so good. It's like a perfect like maturing this character, abandoning like the toxicity of being like no lie, like God of War I think handles like the toxic masculinity conversation extremely well.
That was actually a conversation when the game first came out.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
All that shit.
I hope that people were like not raging about it, because that was like the best part of the game for me. So like we see this man that was engaged in toxicity and anger mellow out and then like teach his son the error of his own ways so that he would be better. Mm-hmm. Like my favorite line in the entire game is like, I do not need you to be sorry, but I do need you to be better.
Love it.
It's like, fuck, like it's so good.
Dude, I know it's a game, but the chemistry between what's his kid's name, Sonny, and Christopher Judge are like fucking fantastic.
Yeah, they do a great performance.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Nah, a lot of your son let him like get Spartan rage out of nowhere, be toxic.
I never forget being so goddamn annoyed when Atreus find out he's a god, he gets kind of a little arrogant.
That was a weird,
that made you so
super weird story bump.
No, it was. It makes sense because he thinks he's a god.
No, but it was. He just went. Because that leading up to that part, after he finds out, he was fine. Or like before he finds out, he was completely fine, normal. And then it just like it's like just a nice straight line, and then once he finds out he's got it, spikes up him just being an asshole. It comes and then it goes back down after he resolves it. But it was like I don't know if they needed to spend more time with him, kind of slightly ramping up, but it was like flat, straight up, down.
It's the way the world view gods, because gods are above everyone. So
yeah,
I know, but Atreus' personality was not like that.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I think it's an interesting character beat. Because his personality is not like that, once he finds out that he's a god and like better than everybody, it climbs into his head so fucking quickly because he knows the value of gods because of his like mythology. So he feels like he's up there with Thor and like Odin, and then like he's just processing the fact, like in a kid's world. Like if you gas up a kid, like it's gonna get to the fucking heads.
Bakugo from My Hero Academia is a good example.
He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, he died.
Yeah, Bakugo's fucking dead.
Yeah, he did.
That's not even. Yeah, it's not come out yet.
It's in the manga.
Yeah, in the manga.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Damn.
I don't read the show. I already knew about that. Yeah. But no. You remember this whole story?
There was a woman who killed herself over that.
What?
What? No.
That was
we'll talk
favorite character.
Jesus Christ. I'll Google that later.
Continue. Someone might kill herself right now.
Jesus Christ. What the fuck is wrong with people?
Spider-Man.
No way, really?
They killed Spider-Man. He did kill himself.
No. Are you lying to me?
No, I'm being serious. I saw a news article about it.
I'm sorry. Cut this out. What?
Yeah. Mental illness is a real thing.
Yeah, I know, but Jesus fucking Christ.
Get back to All right, Trey is about being a god, and then he's a little. Yeah, that's the one part I hated about the game. Was like, the one thing about the story I just didn't like was just that stupid. Trey is being a dickhead for like the next 30 minutes. Yeah, it was dumb.
You know what? I agree that it was dumb it's a dumb thing for the character to keep saying, but I think that it does a great job at immersing you into what Kratos was feeling during those times. Because if you look at every interaction that Kratos is having when Atreus is being a fucking dickhead, he goes completely cold.
He goes dad mode.
And like Atreus would say something and Kratos would go like,
Or like,
he was like,
ignore him.
He's talking to the dwarves. He grabbed him like, why did you talk to him like that, or something like that?
Sindri.
Sindri.
I love those little dwarves. So like, I think that like it was an annoying like 30 to 45 minutes, but it really made you feel like Kratos.
Yeah.
In those 30 to 45 minutes. So
I feel like God of War 3 Kratos. I'm like, kill myself.
Atreus! Fucking beat his ass.
The lion gauntlets. Remember those?
Yeah, those are fucking great.
Dude, look, I just want to bounce back a little bit back to the gameplay. Just when I would like take a Draugr and I would like grab them in the middle and I would just rip them apart. Yeah. I felt so good.
Nothing better than a fucking Leviathan that's coming back to your hand. Top tier experience.
I would just, when I'd be walking into like the open world and I would just throw it out of the map. And then like, I just let it sit there. And then before a fight, I would call it back and I would feel like a fucking, it was amazing.
Yeah, before
it was so
like
good.
DualSense, you felt it do the DualShock 4 for some reason. Like
the weight and feeling of that game is really well done. Really, and I think it's the way they angle the camera movements, it adds weight to all the movements that you do, like from tearing things apart to like taking the Leviathan axe and just like nailing it, just like cutting someone in half and then like really getting through their guts and everything. You feel all of the weight through the camera.
Nothing cooler like doing combos and shit. And your Leviathan axe all the way over there, you just fighting them, call it back. Like fucking Thor, dude. It's awesome.
But this is like what I was saying earlier about the combat just kept me engaged like that because I would find like little new things to do. Yeah. So like start off a fight, throw the Leviathan axe, wait a minute, pull out the sword or the chaos
swords.
What is it?
What are you talking about? Chaos blades.
The chaos blades. Take out the chaos blades, start swinging them around, and then when I have a guy like, approaching me after like I'm done with my combo, call back the axe. But stand in front of him where the Leviathan axe comes back and hits him. Yeah. I was like, just combos like that. I was like, it was starting to get really fluid like that. And I was figuring out little new things to do and everything. Especially trying to do like the Hell's Mountain climbing thing to get up those. You had to be really fucking agile. And you had to find out every little nook and cranny of like how to like
maneuver and position.
And
then just try to maximize your combo damage.
Dude, speaking of story and the Blades of Chaos, that moment when he meets, goes back to the house and gets his Blades of Chaos is fucking top tier.
Amazing.
Because I remember telling you last week, you never played the previous games, right?
No, so it meant nothing to me.
Like, holy shit, when you get them, and it's like, fuck, yeah, this is what we missed. And the combat can literally just fucking changes. It becomes more, I guess, more loose in a way than the tighter experience with the Leviathan.
Yeah, which is definitely like on purpose.
Yeah.
I think that the Leviathan makes the game tighter because Kratos is kind of in this foreign land and everything feels a little bit subtle. Once you get those fucking blades,
you feel powerful when you get them.
You feel
like this because it's part of him now. You can't use those blades, and it's like this is his main weapon right here.
Yeah,
and it's like so fucking good.
And then even using your hands too, you could just punch dude to death, which always
fucking crowded.
I always really like doing that, and then juggling too. Like juggling people was fucking awesome.
Oh, such a good moment though.
I hate this saying because it's so repetitive, but you truly do feel like a overpowered god when you can juggle someone mid-air and like,
just punching
them.
His punches be heavy as shit too, by the way.
It's like Machine Gun Kelly getting punched 45 times in the chest.
Dude, the shield too. The shield, I love the shield mechanic. I think it was great. Everything surrounding God of War 2018 for me is like so fucking tight and polished and clean. I adore God of War 2018.
Do you guys have like a favorite part of the series?
I think
the series of the game.
Like or the for 2018, do you have a favorite part in the story?
I never forget the final boss. You fight a Baldur and you see Kratos and Atreus fighting, and in mid-air, Atreus shooting his arrow while they fall.
Yes,
I'm like, my fucking boy right there. That shit got me hyped as fuck.
Kratos like hold him and like Atreus is like falling, and he was like letting him out too. He's like, let this thing sing.
Yeah, so fucking good. This game's amazing, man.
Atreus switch it from single fire to automatic.
And they do that father-son combo at the end too.
Oh man, I hope they did. I'm so hyped for Ragnarök.
You know they got more coming.
Oh man, it's
mature, too.
so satisfying when they just work together. And like, there's one part in the trailer, and it all made me tear up, where it was like, it's like Atreus, and then they're like, he's like, father, like together, and then
the
they,
one I
like,
put on the other day, I love that trailer, that TV stuff.
So fucking good. Yeah.
And he's standing up to the fucking Fenrir or whatever Wolf God is called.
Fenrir or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Fenrir.
Yeah, because in the original game, like, can we beat something that big? But now he's like, fuck yeah, I got it.
Yeah, in the
It's so good.
in 2018, the biggest thing you fight is like the dragon, which is like not a hit.
It's not truly a fight itself.
It was a mid-boss, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. It was that's normal for the original God of War games. Kaiju-sized monsters.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't even that like huge. That was like one complaint people had with 2018 was like there was no huge
There wasn't
boss battle.
epic battles. And
But I guarantee there's the biggest thing you would see was like the end of spoilers for a 2018 game, but
it's everywhere now.
yeah, the boss or Freya reanimates the giant. Yeah.
That shit was pretty fun. I think my favorite part of the game is like just before. I think when Kratos finally confronts Atreus for being like a dickhead, like they're fighting the whole time, they're arguing, and then Atreus like shoots Kratos before sending him through the portal. Like that whole sequence, that whole emotional payoff, had such a big impact on me because like I really felt like the immediate regret in Atreus when he shot Kratos. I felt like the betrayal that Kratos had when Atreus shot him. And then, like, my other favorite part is when Atreus finally unlocks the Spartan rage inside of him. That's like just such good story.
I wonder if they're gonna return back because they left that after that. Just that it just stops there.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to come back.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that he was just so angry that it was killing him the entire time.
Well, they said it because he wasn't. Something was going on because he's like. I remember what's the woman named Freya.
Freya, yeah.
She was acknowledged. He wasn't acknowledging that he's a god. He's kind of a mortal mind with a god body, so it's fucking him up or some shit.
Yeah, it was like his identity wasn't aligning with who he actually was, and
Yeah.
it was like hurting him physically.
And after that, my favorite scene, honestly, is probably when Kratos admits that he's like, "I'm a god boy from a land far from." I love that fucking quote. It's so fucking good.
He just like sits and
and
like,
they put
puts
like
his
the
hand on
theme
the
song
shoulder.
behind it and shit. It was like that's his past.
Man, what a fucking fire theme song by Bear McCready.
Yeah.
That dude does not miss.
He did Godzilla.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say he did Godzilla, bro. Bro does not miss.
Doesn't miss. But yeah, that moment he mixed like, "Oh my god," is like so fucking good.
Boy.
Oh my god, boy, I'm a land far from here. I came for these shores or something like that.
And another highlight is like, you do not know the consequences of killing a god. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
My Kratos impression is dog shit.
I think my favorite part of the game is when he Boulder is trying to. It's right at the end when Boulder is strangling Freya, and then Kratos just grabs him by the neck, and he's like, "No, this cycle ends here."
It's fucking.
And I was like, that was like the entire theme is like, and then Kratos telling Atreus like, "No, we're gonna be is this how it always ends? It's like we're gonna be the gods we choose to be." I was like, "Fuck, that is such a good line. That is so perfect."
Freya's
gangster.
acting at the end too was really good too when she was crying over her son. Like, that was really good too.
The entire like last hour and a half of the game to me is like one of the best experiences I've ever had in any game. That
You're
boss
part
fight
of
is so
that
good.
journey too, and like especially the end where just the small things like Kratos walking with his hand on his son's back, and like that's good moments, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Really good.
It's I loved seeing Kratos become a dad essentially through this game, and it's just a wonderful like there's a lot of games coming out like during that era that was dealing with this is a lot of art nowadays that's dealing with the fact that trauma begets trauma. I think that people are realizing now that like all of your repressed bullshit affects other people around you, and it's coming out a lot in art. And I think God of War and The Last of Us 2, which came out pretty close together, are two of the best examples of like that thesis being expressed extremely well.
Yeah.
And I adore God of War 2018 for that.
Yeah, same here. Masterpiece, absolutely.
Yeah, the games.
That's one of the few games that I would effortlessly call a masterpiece.
Yeah, because there's good games that played out there previous to this game. Gameplay wasn't story, but God of War is like the accumulation just both done so fucking well.
Yeah.
And like even like Last of Us, I love The Last of Us too. but I think they drugged it out too long towards the end.
I think so too.
Yeah, like when she goes to the beach or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's on purpose. I think that it's a purposeful.
Yeah. I didn't hate it.
technique.
Yeah,
but it does drag on for
Drag
a
on
little
a bit
too
too
long.
long. Like, is this over with yet?
Yeah, I was like, I'm like, oh, okay, I finally made it to the end. I'm like, nope, there's about 5-6 more hours of the game. Like, fuck.
When I said it's about like 2 more hours left. When she go to the beach and what's name's to
Abby.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Right?
Jesus is strung up there. I'm like,
but like God of War is like a fucking. When I think of okay, I put it this way, because I consider video games art.
Mm-hmm.
God of War is just like it understands. It just does everything so well. Story, gameplay, fucking graphics. Its world. The world is really fucking fascinating. We probably bring up later in this videos. Like God of War made me like. I didn't care about Norse mythology, but after playing God of War, like fuck, this world is really fascinating. And I want to.
Yeah.
All right, good segue. Let's get into some Norse mythology.
All right.
So God of War like story and everything plays on Norse mythology, but it actually differs because at the end of the game of 2018, you found out like Atreus' real name is Loki.
Yeah.
So then now the absence of Loki in this world, which they never really explain through when you're playing it until you find out at the end, and we're like, oh shit, you are Loki. So how is that change? So the absence of Loki, they've had to like rewrite the story and everything. So like even with the World Serpent, that is a child of Loki. They don't know where the World Serpent came from. Frennar, I don't think Frennar's in the game, but he's going to be in Ragnarok.
He's referenced in the original.
He's talked about. He shows up in one of the scrolls.
Huh.
It shows up in one of the scrolls in the wall.
Okay.
The woman who runs hell is a child of Loki.
Yeah, he's on a tier thing too.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember now.
Mm-hmm.
So like I thought that was very interesting, and then how like but that one video that we saw by what was
It's Unpacking Ragnarok. It's the name of the video.
But what was the name of the channel?
Let me find it real quick.
That is a really good video to watch. But that video they kind of
Unpacking God of War.
What is it?
It's Unpacking God of War.
Who's it by?
And the channel is Good Blood.
Good Blood, yeah. So that video by Good Blood kind of like went through the entire story and explained how
The mythology of it.
How Loki is essentially not the god of mischief, but the god of change. Because anytime Loki shows up,
which is way truer to Norse mythology than it is to like the interpretations of Loki that we have in Western culture.
Yeah,
the god of change thing.
Yeah,
it's like way more close to actual Norse mythology than it is to like how people probably know Loki.
Right. It's not like Marvel. It's because anytime Loki shows up in Norse mythology, there's a change. There's a massive change in the story. He alters something, and then it changes the course of whatever direction the gods were going in and whatever.
Yeah. Fun fact, Corey Balrock saw that video and said, wow, I love this video.
Corey's awesome, though, on Twitter.
So what happens in Ragnarok and Norse mythology? So I don't know how they're going to handle this with Ragnarok, but in Norse mythology, what happens is Loki essentially... so actually, let me rewind before we get to Loki. Balder... Or actually, yeah, it does start with Loki. So Balder.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hang on.
You think we should shower for a week?
Yeah. Okay, so
do the mistletoe thing.
Balder is the most beautiful god of everybody. So Balder in 2018 obviously dies, but what happens is Freya is worried that Balder will be killed, and like she doesn't want him to. In 2018,
there's a prophecy that says Balder will die, and Freya wants to protect them from death.
No, it was in Norse mythology, it's like everyone just likes him. He's the most beautiful god of everybody, so everyone just really likes him. And Freya was pretty afraid of him just dying because everyone just enjoyed him so much. So she went around and made a pact with every element, creature, and everything except for Mistletoe, because Mistletoe was too young and naive to make the pact yet. So she just kind of was like, "All right, fine. No one's gonna know it's Mistletoe anyway."
How does that work?
Just make a pact with
I mean,
nature.
how do you make a pact with water and stone and all that either? But it's God, so they can I guess communicate. I don't know. That's nearer here. But she makes a pact without everything, and then everyone. It's not like really like a pact, but everyone just agreed not to hurt Balder.
Yeah. For
whatever elements or whatever, do not harm him. And what happens is Loki tricks I can't remember the name of the god, but there's a blind god, and and people are just all the gods are at this bar and they're all drinking and having a good time, and then they're like, Loki comes up to this god and he hands him a mistletoe arrow. And he thought it'd be funny, and he was like, all right, try to shoot Balder. And then Balder playing along, he's like, all right, whatever. It's like, it's not gonna hurt me. And it ends up killing Balder. And this is and then that chain reacts into Fumblewinter, which is when Fumblewinter happens, that is a precursor to Ragnarok.
Just apocalypse.
So in God of War, we've killed Baldur.
Yeah.
So is that what's happening? That's what
Yeah,
triggered
so
Ragnarok?
In 2018, there's actually like Fumblewinter's actually already kind of starting before Baldur dies. Fumblewinter's actually even starting to begin.
It happens pre Ragnarok. Like
because you can tell when there's an audio cue with Brock and Sindri where they're like, it's a bit nippy out today.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty cold out there. And then so when Baldur punches Atreus and then he hits with the mistletoe arrow, it unlocks that, and then boom, Baldur dies, and now the events of Ragnarok are starting to chain, because now at the beginning of Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok, it's Fumblewinter.
Gotcha.
It's that the shot of like Kratos in the cave, and you can see it's just snow outside. That's Fumblewinter.
And not the sidetrack, but literally the levels and what do you call it, realms we explored in 2018 are affected by what is it called?
Fumblewinter.
Fumblewinter affected those realms too. So like when you play Ragnarok, apparently those levels are like slightly different because of that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but go on.
That's pretty cool.
So after Fumblewinter, I think if I remember this correctly, I think the gods kind of like get really irritated with Loki, and they fear like he's going to create Ragnarok. So what happens is they punish him, they chain him up, they have a snake dangling from the roof, and the snake actually bleeds poison into his mouth. So his wife, I can't remember her name either, but she holds a bowl over his mouth. But when the bowl fills up, she has to pour it out, and then that's when so he's constantly forever being punished. And then after that he escapes, and then Loki is seeking revenge. So what he does, he goes to Hell, because his children are the World Serpent, Fenrir, and
It's a horse, right?
yeah, but that's not like a part of the army. So it's the World Serpent, Fenrir, and then Hela.
Yeah.
Who is in Hell. She is she was actually so ugly that they put her in Hell, and they're like, yeah, it's because she was always a fan of corpses more than humans. So she is the ruler of all the dead. So he goes down to Hell, he finds his daughter, and he's like, I need an army. So she gives him an army of the dead.
Nice.
And then Loki approaches to the gods. I forget who blows it, but Gallahorn is the signaling of the war. So when Gallahorn is blown, it summons all the gods, all the Aesir gods into one place. And then it's just one full battle. I forget where it takes place on it, but
doesn't it take place in Asgard?
It may take place, in Asgard. And it's just one flat battlefield, and then the battle begins. Now, I meant to look it up. I can't remember who kills, but Loki dies. He's killed by a god. Fenrir swallow Odin whole, because Fenrir hates Odin.
Yeah, because he's the one that imprisoned him.
The World Serpent and Thor fight together.
Loki and Heimdall kill each other.
Heimdall, yeah. So that's what I was thinking it was.
Heimdall, yeah.
Heimdall, yeah. He was I think he blows Gallahorn too. But Thor kills the World Serpent, but the World Serpent, I think, bites through its lower jaw, and then it stabs Thor, and then Thor collapses after being poisoned to death.
Yeah.
And pretty much this is all, and then the rest, everyone dies.
Yeah.
But the Aesir gods had one trick up their sleeve after everyone died, is they planted the world Yggdrasil, or the tree. Yggdrasil. Yeah. The world tree gets burned down, and the Aesir gods had one backup plan, is that they had two humans that they created out of driftwood, sealed at the bottom of the world tree.
Yeah. And
then that's how we
would repopulate.
That all the Aesir gods are all dead. Everyone is dead except for these humans, and there's only one plane left.
And that's what Midgard becomes, and that's a creation myth.
Right.
I all this happened because of one mistake.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like he just made it and killed him.
It was just Loki constantly meddling, and then Odin is like a thirsty god for knowledge. Like he constantly, he's the most human god too. It's like
he's a greedy little guy.
He always has a quest for knowledge.
Yeah.
So he's constantly trying to learn spells and potions, which is spells and potions and stuff like that were actually considered like weak. And they're like, that's a cowardly way. It's not manly to fight someone with like a spell or
Valhalla and all that shit.
Yeah. So actually, you know how like Thor actually hates gods or hates giants and everything? They're actually all like 75% giant.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was funny. He's like they hate, being like Thor notorious is racist against like all these giants and everything.
Odin's grandfather a giant?
That's why they all have like giant ancestry because they're all descended from giants.
Yeah,
I think. Right. Like all the gods are descended from giants.
Yeah, so there was Ymir was the first. It was So what happened in the creation period was that there was a volcano and then there was ice, and they slowly merged together after like being on this realm. They kind of like finally made it to 2 points, and then there was a primordial ooze. Yeah, and out of this ooze appeared a giant, Ymir, the first giant, and then a cow. The cow started licking. Yeah, this big giant space cow started licking salt.
Yeah.
And then it created, it licked out the salt, and then it created out this being. I forget the name.
So fucking funny.
Yeah.
Norse mythology is the most fascinating and like the weirdest one of the
You listen
bunch.
to it, it's fascinating, but it's like, what? A cow?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Talking about
It's so
like
funny.
billions of years ago, a cow.
Oh, and then Odin's father birthed him and his brothers out of his armpit and toes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fucking
sweat
weird.
too, right? Was someone born of sweat?
Yeah, and then how the worlds got created was Odin and his two brothers killed Ymir, and they created the realm that we know.
Yeah.
His blood and everything created oceans and all that stuff.
That rules. That's metal as fuck. That's fucking metal.
So,
but to tie that all back to God of War, the interesting thing about when they were making the mythos to God of War, by the fact that Loki no longer exists before Atreus is born, they have to essentially rewrite the Norse mythology to fit the absence of Loki.
That's what I was telling him, Jordan, last week when we had that talk outside. I was like, while we know all of that mythology, I don't think contextually that stuff may be there, but Ragnarok, I think Ragnarok can be his own thing. It's just be called God of War Ragnarok just because it's fighting gods, but I don't think it's going to be what you probably think.
I think it's going to be like very loosely based
very
of
loosely.
The events of like actual Norse mythology, but I think that because they have to shift everything out, and that's what like the Untangling God of War video does so well. It kind of like explained to you what the actual mythos was and then how they adapted it into the God of War mythos.
But they're still loosely, vaguely following like the events to start up the next game.
It ain't
like
accurate.
Baldur getting killed by a mistletoe arrow. So they're hitting certain story
They're following
beats.
all the big beats. They're following all of like the big moments, and they're changing the details of how we get to those moments. So like my biggest interest is to see, now that we know that Atreus's real name is Loki. And Loki being the god of change, and Loki also triggering Ragnarok because Loki killed Baldur in God of War 2018 as well. I mean, Kratos killed him, but he died because of Loki's intervention.
Yeah.
What is the change that we're going to see at the end of Ragnarok? What change is Loki going to bring?
I don't think it's Loki. I think it's Kratos itself. Kratos...
Yeah, Kratos is a completely new entry into this world.
Yeah, and plus he already experienced the quote-unquote Ragnarok of his time or whatever.
Yeah, of his like realm.
Yeah. So I don't think he's gonna kill Odin or Thor or whatever, honestly. I think he's gonna fight him and beat him.
Yeah.
But I think he already seen the outcome of what happens after you
kill a god.
Gods. Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, so while Loki's a big part of the story, I think it's more on Kratos' side of things.
So what do you think is going to be the goal? Because the goal for the original game was to like bring the mom to the tallest part of the realm.
Yeah.
And she was protecting them from being hunted down.
Oh, that reminds me, because she was a giant. That was actually why Baldur showed up to their door. He was actually looking for her.
Yeah.
He didn't know that she had died, but Odin had sent Baldur to go find information about this.
Right.
Thought you were bigger.
I thought you were bigger. And then that's why Odin actually knows
that's
that.
why he says that.
Yeah.
Odin actually knows that he fears Atreus and Kratos was going to start Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So that's why there's constantly like Odin's ravens are constantly watching them.
The
Yeah.
eyes of Odin, right?
Because he knows.
And when you hear thunder every so often in the game, because like Thor's like watching you from afar,
Something
some
like
shit
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is all super interesting. But I wonder, like, Kratos got involved in all of this essentially because he wanted to like bury his wife, and then he got carried into the whole being hunted down.
Yeah.
So like, is God of War 2 going to be more of them being hunted down and then
Yeah, that's what it
they
is.
trying to survive, or
Yeah.
is there like another end goal for Kratos and Atreus?
It's both. They are getting hunted down because I think Freya.
Freya's hunting them down, but
She kinda
this
fought
story
the
is
Golden
I think
Gods.
is gonna revolve. I think Atreus wants answers.
Yeah.
He wants to go out on his own. He's in his teenage years, so he's wanting to figure out what his name means and everything.
Yeah.
So he's actually going to venture out, and then I think Kratos is going to assist him in it, but he's going to have to let him go at a certain point, like let him
makes
be his
sense.
own god or his
How
own
crazy would it
person
be
and
if like
everything.
10 hours into the game you play as Atreus?
I think
for the entire
I
duration.
think that's going to happen.
Well, we'll get into predictions. All right, so who do you guys think we're going to fight in this game?
I don't think there's gonna be a lot of gods we expect it to be.
Yeah,
I
don't
think
so.
we already know we are going to fight Thor.
I know we're gonna
because
fight Thor.
Odin,
I think we're gonna fight Odin.
Freya.
Freya's definitely gonna
She's
be
the first boss, guaranteed, or whatever.
I feel like she's gonna be the first encounter.
I think it's going to be Thor is going to be the first boss.
Yeah,
I think what's going to happen is like
I think you can fight him twice, like Boulder.
oh yeah. You'll fight him probably a couple times because I think it's going to probably start off exactly the same as 2018 as just Thor is going to show up, knock on the door, and they're going to have to have a brawl out.
He gets beats there.
But
yeah,
I know because IGN fucking put this in the
I
video.
saw that. And he talking about those like first 10 seconds or whatever.
They're like talking
in a
at the
house.
dinner table.
Yeah,
So, and this is probably where it's going to probably get into like weird, like, because I guarantee you what happened is like
'Cause it's 5
Atreus
years
wants to
later.
know about his name.
Yeah.
So they're going to go to, Thor and Kratos is probably going to fight first. And
Yeah.
then he's like, I need to talk to Odin. And then they're probably going to talk to Odin because
They're gonna go up to Asgard to have a conversation.
and they're probably going to have some type of disagreement, and that's probably going to start.
Another
Because
fight.
essentially, I feel like what's going to happen is like Atreus and Kratos is going to have to go find an army,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're going to come back because you see that they go team up with Tyr in the
Yeah.
trailer, which is the god of war in this universe.
I heard something weird about Tyr too. Not a spoiler, but his voice.
What about
What's
his
his
voice?
He sounds like Ryan Reynolds apparently.
Oh no!
Yeah,
It's
I
so
heard
funny.
that. It might turn
That
people
doesn't-
off. Yeah,
I feel like you'll get used to it in like the first.
I
10
want to
minutes.
hear what they mean by that, but people
Yeah.
compare him to Ryan Reynolds.
So it doesn't match up to his.
His body, how he look, and all that shit. Yeah,
That's really funny. I genuinely love that.
yeah.
So yeah, what I think is going to happen is that we're going to fight Thor, and then I know at some point we have to be able to use Mjolnir. At
Yeah,
some point.
that's probably
Oh, wait,
that's
so-
going to happen. I know
Yeah.
this for a
All right,
fact.
so good segue. It's a good way.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
if you looked at the
fuck.
collector's edition for God of War Ragnarok, you can see that the Mjolnir, it actually has the same exact runes for the Leviathan axe, which you
calls
slowly
back.
upgrade and slowly Brock and Sindri keep upgrading and
Yeah.
making these little things. So they're obviously going to get Mjolnir at some point in the game.
But do we get that because we killed Thor, or do we become more worthy than Thor?
I don't, because I don't think Thor's going to die.
Yeah, I don't
honestly.
think so. I think we become more worthy than
I
Thor.
think something like that. He probably get pissy about that.
Yeah,
I don't think
'cause a
I
part
think
of-
wait, well, I think so here's my theory about
Yeah.
because Atreus is trying to change Kratos into a better person.
Fuck.
So I think he's going to implicate some kind of no killing rule. So these gods are probably going to end up killing themselves in some type of way from trying to kill Kratos.
Yeah,
Isn't Tyr he's like the pacifist kind of god? Or
He's-
whatever?
He's
a
a god.
pacifist.
He's a god of war, but he tries to strive for peace.
Yeah, so that's a big.
So that was the difference between Tyr and Kratos in their respective universes. Is
Yeah.
that
Because like
Tyr did it with peace in mind,
yeah,
and Kratos destroyed everything.
Yeah.
like Tyr hiding because Tyr's the one who hid the realm of the giants away from
Yeah,
like Thor and
Jotunheim.
Odin.
And so, like, what I think is going to happen is that Kratos is going to find or look for Tyr to sort of become more like him. to like learn a little bit from him, become a god of war through peace.
They probably need his information on
probably
like
2/3
stuff.
in the game too.
Which also, Tyr actually has both his hands, which in Ragnarok or how they chained up Fitnar to keep him like online because Odin was scared that because he knew Fitnar was going to kill Odin.
Yeah,
he
I know
actually
this
put
a
his
bit.
hand inside of because he was actually friends with Fitnar,
Smart.
and when they're like, I'm gonna put this chain on you, but it's not gonna trap you or anything. He's like, all right, put your hand inside of my mouth, and if it traps me, I'm gonna bite it off. And he actually sacrifices his hand
to trap Fenrir. So,
Yeah.
but that doesn't happen in God of War because Loki doesn't exist, so Fenrir doesn't exist yet.
Fenrir does exist.
Sorry, Fenrir is not associated with Loki, so that chain thing
Yeah.
interaction never happened between Fenrir and Tyr.
And that would be a boss fight too, by the way. The freaking wolf thing.
Just to round back for the weapons, I think what's gonna happen I think Atreus is going to get the Leviathan axe. I think
It's
we were
be
going to
handed
use
down to Atreus.
Yeah, because it's his mother's axe. I think he might get that, and then because you can already recall it, so Mjolnir, like Kratos getting Mjolnir, it's probably going to be his new weapon style.
Fucking shit.
Because look, they already had that mechanic of calling it back anyway.
I'm probably jumping ahead of myself, but imagine God of War 5. Wait,
Yeah, God of War
or 5, 6,
It
whatever.
would be 6.
And you in Egypt, but you have the Blaze of Chaos and Mjolnir. What the fuck? And you're fighting Anubis.
They might.
You see what I'm saying?
Dude, that moves like
That'd be
it'd be
fucking
like
sick.
it'd be like some kind of
No,
spear.
you
or
actually
something.
fight Yu-Gi-Moto.
Yeah.
You find a Tem.
Dude, that'd be insane.
All right, Des, do you guys want to make any
Kratos!
predictions with who's gonna die?
No one's gonna die.
I think if anyone is going to die, I don't want to say that.
This is
no one-
Ragnarok. People are going to die.
Yeah, no, but the main cast is not going to die.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact.
I think that if anything happens in terms of death, and this is like the out of pocket or like the fucking hellfire cause a reaction way, is that Kratos gets God, and then you become Atreus for the rest of the game.
That's what I thought too. Gonna be time travel involved.
Yeah, that's what I predict. Like as a normal audience, not being like a super God of War fan, the way to get an emotional reaction out of the audience in this game is you have to kill Kratos, and then you have to make him move on.
I don't think so.
But that's like the easy way to get an emotional
Yeah,
reaction.
I agree. Okay, easy.
That's the easy way to get an emotional reaction. What I think is going to happen is that none of the main cast are necessarily going to die by the hand of Kratos or Atreus, but there's going to be a lot of death surrounding them.
Yeah.
Because Loki being the agent of change in world, the agent of chaos, essentially, is going to cause a lot of
Ripple effects.
But I don't think it's going to be purposeful. Or at the very least, Atreus is going to accidentally kill somebody that he shouldn't have killed by virtue of like defending Kratos or something. And that's
Well,
gonna trigger
what we
something else.
know in the prophecy written on the wall at the end of 2018, that's when like Atreus finds out his name is Loki and all of that stuff. But there is a like sheet or they're like covering this one part, and it flares up, and then you see it's Kratos lying there, and then Atreus holding his body, and then there is a snake coming out of Atreus's mouth.
Interesting.
Now that is like how people think that shit, but Kratos never told Atreus that he saw that, so that's a praying tale that like Kratos is going to die in this next game.
There's been rumors like way back that Kratos is actually the world snake.
That is like one of the craziest like theories that I've heard. But if you look at their faces, they kind of do look similar.
The weird scar and all that shit. Yeah.
No, your theory for it is like there's time travel going to be involved in this game.
So
I don't understand that one.
Yeah, that's been talked about like way before Ragnarok was like.
But time travel is trying to literally put that's their story back together with Norse mythology.
Huh?
Because the only way why there would be time travel is because then Loki or Atreus would go back, and then he would do all the
reset
things.
Norse mythology to be.
Well, he would say Kratos stealth is what I mean.
Yeah.
Stuff happened, but he
Prevents it from happening.
Kratos' death particular.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's what I think. There's actually been talking.
Are you looking up spoilers right now?
No, I'm looking at his Kratos the World.
It says God of War spoilers right there.
2018, bro.
Yeah, this is old shit.
Yeah, this is supposed to.
Just make sure that
This was posted in 5/15/2018.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's an old rumor that's been going on for years now. The Kratos the world snake.
World snake.
Huh?
World serpent.
Yeah.
What's the world snake?
Nothing.
It's the same. It's the same. It's the same.
It's the same thing.
Isn't it like a fish kind of thing?
Push black. It's actually called the serpent.
Serpent.
Actually.
Oh yeah, give me your glasses.
Oh my god, you actually doing a bit right now. Larry David.
It's actually called the serpent.
Not Larry David. What's the guy from TV, the TV host, the famous radio host? What's that guy's name?
Fucking
Skinny, scrawny old guy. He died years
Scrawny-
ago. You've seen him before. He's a famous radio podcaster or whatever. On TV, on CNN.
who the fuck is
I don't know who you're talking about.
You guys know exactly what I'm talking. I've seen him before. It's not Larry David.
All right, so I think Kratos is definitely going to die. I think
He's not gonna die.
Thor will die. I think Odin will die.
I think at least
Freya
Thor.
will die. I think all of
I think Thor will die because I think Thor is more likely to die because we get Mjolnir.
Okay, I'm about to say that. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But I don't. Maybe I'm being too. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be what people want it to be in terms of.
Now they could do the complete opposite. They could subvert us.
Yeah, I
Thinking
heard-
That's what I
Ragnarok will be
expect
the
them to do.
a
god.
lot of reviews say that.
Yeah.
It's subvert your expectations.
I do think that because they did it with the original God of War. It's like we didn't have any expectations for it, but they kind of like twisted everything around us and like gave us a much more interesting story.
Because all right, here's my theory: is like
You got
they're-
5 minutes.
all right, they tried to subvert our expectations because Loki is the god of change.
Mhm.
So instead of because in Ragnarok everyone dies,
And I think Loki's going to prevent that from happening.
he's going to prevent everyone from dying. So everyone gets to live in this because that is instead of killing gods, we're going to save gods.
Right. And I
So-
think that's why Kratos doesn't die. I think if like the prophecy is that Kratos will die, but I think that Loki being the god of change is going to prevent that from
Or
happening.
Kratos is the only god to die, and
something
everyone,
like
and then fades to black.
But Kratos no longer has my theory of why I think Kratos will die. Kratos no longer has character growth after this game. Kratos doesn't need to evolve. He evolved. He reached peak Kratos. So like,
Kratos.
so like, there's nothing there for him to learn. He learned how to rein his toxicity. He learned how to become a dad. He learned how to raise Atreus. He taught him how to be a better man. So like, the only thing left for Kratos to do is to like accept his guilt for what he did, and then like let the next generation take over. And that's why I think that Kratos is either going to die or like effectively retire from being the main character. Because there's nothing. Kratos no longer has a character goal. Everything that happens now as a character is Atreus.
Yeah, but I don't see Kratos as a character just not doing anything.
I don't see him doing anything, but that's why I think that he's the one that's likely to die along with Thor. I think that Kratos would do a self-sacrificial move as a final marker of
His character,
his character arc.
All right, here comes my theory. My second one is this is what it's gonna be, man.
George,
It's
you become a Star Wars fan with The Last Jedi. Stop it.
What do you mean? What's that mean?
I don't know what that means either.
You got all these not
All this
expectations.
crazy shit.
Yeah.
No, I just
when
have
you get it,
theories.
it's like,
I just
"Oh,
have
it's
some
not
crazy
bad."
theories.
What's
But
your
like
theory?
I would love to see this is like they like but I don't think it's going to play out the more information I've found out through like research and everything, but Kratos like holding Zeus and he's like holding him down, he's like do it, and it's like Gohan or it's like Goku and Piccolo holding down Raditz. And he's like and Atreus has got to pull back some god killing arrow. He's like I can't. And he's like do it. And he's going to go boy, but before he goes boy, he goes boy, son. And then he's like flies it and kills them both.
You wrote that like an action movie from the mid 2000s.
Nah, no, it rules, dude. That rule, I love it. I'd cry on the spot.
I kind of hope it's one I wanted. I kind of hope Kratos kind of goes more to his Greek side of things. It doesn't fit the story at all. But I want Atreus to know his Greek past too. That seems cool.
Yeah, that would be it. That's probably we're probably gonna get a lot. The game's like 50 hours long.
Yeah, the game's apparently really
Well, 50
long.
hours. No, it's
Yeah.
like 30 hours.
They said 30 to
It's
50.
longer than the
30 to 50.
Yeah. I guess if you want to be a completionist about it, it's
Glad
probably
I'm not
closer to
reviewing
50.
this game. So I won't
Long.
finish it.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for God of War Ragnarok. I'm probably gonna buy it on PS4, which kind of sucks. But I don't have a PS5.
It runs really well on PS4. PS4 is going to be hot. And loud.
Oh,
Just kill all the cockroaches.
we didn't even talk about the Metacritic score. This thing is sitting.
Talked about it yesterday. You don't even know
God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, God of War Ragnarok is getting like 10s out of 10s.
It is sitting at 94 on the Metascore, which is crazy.
I saw IGN give. I think I saw IGN give it a 10 out of 10.
It got like 4 10s.
Yeah. And honestly, do we expect any less?
I mean, I thought it was gonna get like 9s or something. I didn't think it was gonna be able to live up to what 2018 put it as.
It's more a relief. Like,
yeah,
it's a sequel. Surprisingly, it can hold it as own.
Yeah,
and the fact that you made a sequel to something that's already fucking near perfect. You doing it again? That's props.
And that's like the best way to do a sequel. That's like you do something big. Next thing you just like,
and it's a 2-parter too.
Yeah, quality of life it, continue it. Don't add anything fucking crazy. Don't just make a good second game.
And surprisingly, people say like the combat hasn't really changed. Clearly, it's tweaked though and all that shit. But
it's gonna have quality of life stuff like they always do.
It didn't harm the game in terms of like it didn't hold it back in terms of like it's nothing to do whatever.
Yeah, but that's like my biggest gripe with like people wanting sequels to be completely revamped and different. It's just like no, sequels are like a continuation.
It fits this game because it's one story here.
Yeah.
So I really didn't.
Sequels are meant to take what worked and then just like
expand it on a little bit,
tweak it a little bit, and then move on.
Look at fucking Call of Duty franchise.
Yeah,
Mario.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So cool. I'm very excited for God of War.
I am too. Yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
When you are at your weakest,
when fear and doubt are a burden too heavy to bear.
remember this. You are not alone.
Talking about God of War Ragnarok, baby. It took me fucking 3 months after release to be able to finish it.
It's funny.
I hope it's not too late for y'all. Like
no, well, Tay just released a review, which by the way, go check it out.
You encouraged me though, and I was trying to get inspired from a YouTube short style reviews. What we're trying to do. But no, it's funny because I was writing the script. It's literally one night I wrote the fucking script thing, and I'm not sure you text me after I published it or before, but it's funny we were doing it at the exact same time. Like you were writing that.
Oh yeah, I was I tested it. Yeah, like at 1 a.m. in the morning.
I was like editing it.
Right up
so it was funny timing.
So God of War Ragnarok, it came out at the tail end of last year, right?
November 8th?
November 9th. November 9th. And it took me a long time to get around to it because I was like, I lost my job and I just didn't have the time to do it. And I got GameFly and finally, like, I beat it in like a month.
GameFly still open.
Still open. GameFly still in business.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
Some kids might not even know what GameFly is.
Yeah, throw us a sponsorship, GameFly. I'll vouch for you.
Explain GameFly real quick.
It's like, come on. It's like when Netflix, it's just game. You know what it is. You rent a game, you play it, you send it back.
It's old Netflix before Netflix became what it is.
Yeah. It's Netflix with games.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty fun. And so we haven't really talked about God of War. You guys have, because you guys played it around the same time. But I was completely excluded from all of those conversations because of spoilers.
Yeah. This is, by the way, a spoiler cast.
Yeah, spoiler cast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do you want to like kind of gradually do it, or do you just want to full unload right now?
If you don't want to get spoiled, just stop watching.
Yeah, just don't watch.
Spoils of war. Zeus! I've come to spoil the game. Kratos, you can't spoil the game.
So, the first thing that I will say about God of War is that I think it's one of my favorite. God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, I think, are my top 2 favorite games of all time.
Oh, shit.
Like, they are so good to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's like a few games that are like outside of that, like Final Fantasy VII will always be like a favorite game. But I think in the last 10 years, there's been no better games than God of War and God of War Ragnarok. I think that The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2 came really close, but I just think that God of War just really nailed into like a specific, like character-driven storytelling and like a game format that just fucking scratches my brain.
I will put it like Last of Us 2 is a fantastic looking game.
Yeah.
I think God of War is more fun.
I think so.
God of War is more, I would say more fun, but like the mechanics in Last of Us 2 is probably some of the best mechanics I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
I think that is like the gold standard right there.
To the workbench and it's like,
well, it's just just to feel the running, the tripping, and it's like just everything you could do in that game. I was like, the story, you can say what you want to about the story, but the mechanics in that game is so crucial. I mean, mechanics for a game is like the most crucial part of a game.
Yeah.
It's just how you play it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like miraculous. It's crazy good.
I'm noticing lately PlayStation games are becoming, we're going to talk more of this about God of War, but they're becoming more technical than ever.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Spider-Man 2 is gonna be the exact same way too.
When you say technical, what do you mean? Like just little details?
That and just so much shit to do for just one character.
Yeah, that like you have a prefla of like skills and mechanics that you can kind of mold into how you want to play.
Because we're all playing the same game, but I doubt that any of us played the game
exactly
even remotely similarly.
Yeah.
That's
So okay.
Yeah.
So how did you cycle through all your weapons and everything like that?
So I was mostly, I felt like the game to me was telling me to use the Blades of Chaos way more than using any other weapon because they were quicker, they were good for managing groups of enemies, and the fire effect, just did
Burn
pretty
effect.
great. But then I started prioritizing the Blades of Chaos, and I was just like, man, I really missed the axe. And so then I started using the axe again, and then I realized it's like, oh, I can just use them together. And like I was getting the fire effect, and I was like switching, throwing the axe, getting like really big combo explosions. So like the first maybe like 25% of the game, I was like really focusing on one weapon, and then I was just like,
As you play more, you start to diverse your set of weapons.
you start diversifying, and then like the game forces you to diversify because it adds in enemy encounters that only get hurt by a specific type of weapon.
I like that.
And it adds enemy encounters that are like, you need to keep some of them at a distance, but you need to get close to some of them.
Say that, yeah.
So like you're really juggling your whole arsenal of weapons. By the time that you get the spear, the last weapon in the game, you're fucking juggling them.
You already
bitches.
mastered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're fucking throwing a spear, hitting somebody with an axe, throwing a whip of fire, doing the.
I used the
slashing
spear
people.
for zoning enemies and all that shit.
Yeah, so the way I would go with it was like you start with a spear, you can go long distance. I love this one move where you could throw up the spear
Just like come
and it
down.
rains down. I'm like, this is anime as hell. Like it's a rain down a bunch of spears
I love
on
the
them.
tornado one. That's my favorite one.
The
tornado one.
oh yeah, okay,
The
yeah.
tornadoes are on the stage.
Throw the spear and then I would chuck a couple. And once they got a little bit closer, then we hit. When they're mid range, I then I'd switch over to my Blades of Chaos, and then I would use the little what's the little things called? With the little it's like R1 and
The
then
chakram.
the little two things that you had, those special moves.
Yeah.
You use all those up and then you switch over when they get real close to the axe and you start chopping down on them and everything. So I'd like to cycle through like that. I would have I would like to set it up in like waves of how I would hit enemies.
Yeah.
And then once you use up those runes,
You cycle back to the.
you
first
cycle back
weapon.
to the other one because it's already loaded up again.
Yeah,
So
that's how I was doing too.
Dude, there were some encounters in that game, and we'll talk about the narrative in a second. But
Fucking
they were
werewolves.
They were, dude, fucking
Pain in the
werewolves.
ass, yeah.
There were some encounters in that game that legitimately.
you would rip those things would beat the piss out of you at the end of the game.
There was like there were encounters and fights where like I died 6 times in a row, and I only won them because I got fucking furious and I just started like aggressively like hitting them with shit.
Yeah.
Not even planning. It's like a real Spartan rage.
There was a point where like the werewolves after you redeem Frey or whatever, there's a werewolf on the right side of you going forward, and it's like he kicked my ass like he's 5 times. Like no, fuck this. I'm continuing the story because it's taking too damn long.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
The game's actually harder than 2018 title. In my
It's
opinion.
it's way more difficult. And like the camera and mechanically, I think that the game fixed a lot of the issues that I had with 2018. Namely, like the camera in 2018 was a little too close, so it was like hard to see enemies in like a big circle radius. The camera's pulled back now. Enemies were like a little too aggressive from the back. Every enemy now is kind of like much more aggressive towards the front of you, and the camera. It fixed everything that I thought could be better in the original God of War 2018. And then just made the combat super engaging, super fun to like watch and play. And then like when you pull off a big fucking combo and you just like slam down those Blades of Chaos and like just evaporate an enemy. So good. So good.
Oh, so good.
It was a legitimately like, there's not a whole lot of games that I like sit down and play anymore and then like don't want to stop playing. And like God of War was one that I like could not stop playing.
Yeah, plus it's his story too, and the game has a lot of. I haven't finished it yet. It has a lot of post game content too.
Yeah, like a whole nother game's worth of content at the back of it, and I guess that's because like when they delayed it, they just had time to keep working on more stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a whole nother game.
Was it this
after you
game?
finish it.
It was done a year ago. But
It was supposed to release like
I have a theory that
remember seeing
it's
something about
more or
like
less a theory.
2019 or
It was going to
something.
release with the PlayStation 5. I think it was going to be a PS5 exclusive on the first launch, like the first few months of the launch cycle of the PS5. And then the PS5 started running into shortages and like you couldn't find PS5s. And I think that's why they pushed it so they could then port it back to PS4.
no, I think I mean like in terms of like, because it's still a PS4 game.
Yeah.
It is.
But I think that's what the delay was about. I think it was going to be meant to push PS5 sales, but then they couldn't buy PS5s, and I think that's where the delay came in.
Yeah, but I remember like the game. I think it's this game where it had been done. They just spent the last year just tweaking it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I haven't encountered any bug issues with the game at all or anything.
I only ran into 2 bugs, and they were AI placement bugs.
AI placement bugs.
Yeah, and just like the AI went crazy, and like my targeting system broke. That's it.
I had I think a couple crashes, but that's about it. Like maybe 2 out of the entire game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games where like the narrative like really speaks for itself. What do you think about the narrative?
I love it. Like I said in my review, like this game just expands on everything great about the 2018 game, even its story.
Yeah,
I love despite the game being long, I kind of want the third act of the game to be a little bit longer.
I agree.
Because when Ragnarok starts, like the whole war, you're literally just running through it, fighting enemies and shit. And I'm like, okay,
I kind of
hated it, but it's like a lot of build up to this moment, and you kind of just running through it.
Yeah. I had the same issue where I'm like, I wish the fight would have been a little bit more epic and it wasn't a little bit more closed off.
Yeah.
And I wish it would have lasted, exactly, a lot longer.
Yeah.
Wish there would have been like some mini bosses in there or something.
But it's probably what it needed.
A couple mini bosses in there, like you do waves
like
and
2
enemy
giants or something.
Right, yeah.
Something.
Oh, it'd be cool if you could have had like all the old enemies come back up and shit. Or like maybe a couple Valkyries or something come through and you had to smash them in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you fought Valkyries.
You did. You did.
Ragnarok.
Oh, that fucking boss is fantastic.
Yeah,
that's
a good boss fight.
Dude,
let me say that is the most beautiful level I've ever played in a video game.
It is.
Oh my god!
Like
and I was playing it on PS4. I can't imagine how it looked on PS5.
Did it? Because I was playing 60 frames. I didn't play normal mode. How'd you play it?
60 frames.
Yeah, oh my god.
That's the only way to. I think that's the only way to play any game.
Yes.
I think that should just come default. And if you want to do pretty mode,
I switch and like, oh god, get this away from me.
It's like
Because you go back to 30.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is like it's like you going back to 30, and then it's like a higher, or it's a
higher fidelity.
but it doesn't look as good as like 60, and it's just it's
better
frame rate is ever since we went to Strong's house that one time, and his TV, we're like, why does your TV look so good? And he was like, I just have high refresh rate. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Refresher and frame rates are different things though.
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I love it. I think what I love the most about and I have a whole bunch of notes here, but Crocker, what did you think about like the narrative for God of War?
I liked it a lot. I thought this was like, it kind of almost seemed like something new-ish to me because just Kratos was almost changed from the last game. And you could see he was making real progress through this game a lot earlier than what you would think.
Character here from the last game.
Right. He was really trying. And I was like, oh, he's really trying to like hold back. He's trying to be a good father to and then they kind of just had to loop back a little bit from like the first game. He kind of fell into like some of the old habits he had, which I mean that was I guess needed for it.
Yeah, it's like right after he met the Fates, he's like starts going back a little bit.
Yeah, he kind of rewind, but he was like then he continued to push forward, and it was really nice to see someone so vicious as Kratos kind of change a new leaf and then try to be a better person for his son.
Yeah, you're seeing him like I like going back to the old games and the cutscenes from the PS2, PS3 games. And look at him now; it's like night and day.
Yeah, it's a completely different character.
And it's crazy because that history is still there.
Yeah,
and so this makes it even cooler.
And I like that you see that character change, but they don't throw it away because like there are moments in even Ragnarok where like they reference shit that he did back in the day.
He threatened Odin, like, you want to see the other way of me?
Are you calm and a reasonable man?
I liked one of my favorite moments of that referencing is like he's talking to Freya, I think, and he's talking about the captain that he killed 3 times in the God of War movies.
It's actually a joke in the games.
Yeah. Because, but he talks about it in this game like he's mournful because he like prevented that guy from going to the afterlife. Yeah. Like he just killed him.
He
dead.
drops from the cliff.
Yeah,
I remember that guy. Yeah.
So I think it's really cool that like Santa Monica has like kept the old stuff and like try not to distance themselves about it, but use it as like stepping stones.
They made it in a sense where you don't have to play him, but you still got enough information to like.
Yeah, I never played any of the old games, and I got a lot of the references and stuff.
It just like if you play him, it just adds on to his character more.
Which I think was amazing. I think that as far as like sequels, like when I think of a great sequel, almost a perfect. I would say God of War Ragnarok is like a perfect sequel.
That's my title for the review.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
It's a perfect sequel.
It is a perfect sequel because not only does it improve on everything that the last game did previously, it does it without adding like unnecessary like grandiosity or like epicness. It's just like it feels like you stop playing God of War 2018 and then like you launched it in and then God of War Ragnarok picks up right where 2018
That's what.
left
Well,
off.
Corey said that. Corey Barlog. He was in an interview. He was saying that like we have to stop writing 2018 because we're writing the sequel right now. So they were already pretty much already into that story. So that's why it feels literally just like a part 1 and a part 2, not really like a sequel.
They had a story in mind since we fucking played the 2018 game. It's already been there. They just didn't make the game yet.
Yeah, that's true. And
So
it
like 2018 could have been like.
could have been like a 50 hours longer.
Well, it could have been like they could have put Ragnarok into 2018 and just had it one game.
It was
just
originally
be-
DLC, but they're like, it's gonna be too big. So
and it doesn't feel like that at all.
No.
Yeah.
So when I saw those comments previously when the game's coming out, like, you guys are so fucking wrong.
Yeah.
The game is so much better than the 2018. Just
You want a good example of that? Saints Row 4 was fucking DLC that they turned into a full game.
The one with the angel
But like a
wings,
bad one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a
that
bad
is that's how
example.
you do it poorly.
Yeah.
If you want a good example.
With Gay Tony.
The Ballad
No,
of
Gay
Gay
Tony could have been its own game too.
You think so? I mean, it
Ballad of
was
Gay
its own
Tony.
game.
Well, Ballad of Gay Tony was a DLC that was so good that it should have been
It's
its
an
own
expansion.
It was
Ballad of Gay
expansion.
Tony is an expansion.
expansion. Yeah.
DLC expansion and it's two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that God
I don't
of
know.
War-
How do you download a expansion?
Expansion still a
It's
thing.
like a
it's
now.
download.
downloadable content, but it's the quantity of the content is significantly
I
different.
remember
It's like between $20 and $40.
Yeah, it's like
That
if
right
you
price
add more
point.
than 10 hours, I consider that an expansion.
It's just how they price point. It's like
Yeah.
if is this going to be is this DLC $20 or $40? Because you're buying like half of a game.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think that like
Ooh,
Being-
nice smack there.
being the perfect sequel, I was worried that at first it was gonna like fall short
a lot of people did.
because people was like, okay, well, how are they gonna pull off like that transfer? I was worried that the people were gonna consider it a less than stellar sequel because it didn't go grandiose, it didn't go like super epic, it didn't go like bigger.
I did.
Yeah.
By far.
But it
Well-
did it in a very subtle way. It did it at the end of the game, but like the character journeys and everything that was happening, like characters weren't reduced to a cartoon of what they were in 2018, which is I think is like a really important thing for a sequel. Like in The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, some of the like Ellie, The Last of Us 2 is a really great game and I really like Ellie's story, but Ellie became kind of like a cartoon of like the spiteful, like avengeful character that she was in part 1. And so like every character just kind of fell way too deep into like their own trauma ball in The Last of Us Part 2. And God of War Ragnarok, I get the feeling that these characters are making choices to be better.
Yeah.
They are developing, they are learning from what happened in their previous games. And that's something that sequels often overlook because they want the sequel to be bigger. So the characters make decisions that force the circumstances of the game to be bigger.
They felt real.
Yeah.
I always said that in my review, they felt human.
Yeah, they do. And I wrote that. Yeah, I wrote
Yeah.
that in. It's like
you wrote it too?
among all the among all the godliness, like once you take away the fantastical element, God of War Ragnarok is one of the most human stories that I've seen in gaming in recent years.
I love. I'm gonna go deep into that too, but the supporting characters are like, what the fuck? They did a really good job to support.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't expecting that at all, but it was great to see that, like Sindri and Brock, and
Yeah.
you know, since we're talking about spoilers, I didn't like Tyr at first. I thought it would be a wasted potential in this game
Yeah.
at first, until that twist.
Dude, that shit had me fucking.
I felt so robbed. I was like, I'm like this raped me in a way. It's like
so betrayed.
so betray. You really have like a thick sense of betrayal.
It was a visceral reaction
So
for me.
before that twist, I was like, Tyr's not hitting me right now.
Yeah.
I don't like this character.
Yeah, I was
He
yeah.
doesn't like doing anything.
Right. He's just being annoying.
Yeah, and he tried to be a voice of reason, but it came off as annoyance too, though.
Yeah.
He's not sucking Superman. Shut up. Stop it. But
He's not one.
no. But it was just odd. Like he just it felt like why we got this guy for? He didn't really add much to the story for the time. He just saying shit
Just
and
sat
trying
there.
to procrastinate a little bit with Kratos and Atreus and all that shit. And it's like, okay, till the twist happened. It's like, all right, I was wrong.
That twist,
If you go back and look at some clips of the cutscenes,
Yeah.
what Tyr says, you can catch on. Like he calls Freya Frigg,
yeah.
and
yeah.
she says like,
no one's
one
called me
calls
that since Odin.
yeah, And so it's like, holy shit.
But you only assume that because, like, you know, Tyr is like an old
he's
god.
old god, yeah.
Same with Atreus. Like, he calls him Loki every single time.
Bro, what do you call him that for?
You know damn well his name is Atreus.
when Brock was like, you don't even have any shit here. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. He's making too much sense.
His spear and shield.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
We know this as well. Like, he didn't bring any weapons. So
Yeah,
like, what the
bring
fuck
a
you
goddamn
talking
thing.
about? You're like, this ain't right.
Dude, that character death legitimately left me like super heartfelt. Like, that was like, a lot of times games kill characters off just to kill them, to like give motivation to the characters. But that was like the one character death that I felt like motivated the rest of the game.
That didn't affect me. What affected me most was what happened to Sindri.
Yeah,
that's
Sindri.
harder for me.
Ooh.
But I think when I say character death, I just mean like the death and then like everything that happens as a result of it.
Sindri is heartbroken, dude. Like,
Yeah.
that sucks.
And he
I hate
already
saying
went
that.
over to the river to like the light in Affelheim
Yeah.
to like rescue him one time. So now Brock doesn't even have an afterlife.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah.
That shit was super sad. And like the fact that Sindri let himself get dirty
Yeah.
after like, and actually I have a note here.
He doesn't wear gloves anymore and all that
Doesn't
shit.
wear gloves, yeah. And like the way that he took Odin's soul and just fucking smashed it.
And you know what's funny?
No, wait.
Yeah.
Wait. When Sindri was like, when he told Kratos and Atreus, when they went to his, like, where he was working,
Yeah.
and he's like, and get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my
shit.
God, dude. I
Yeah.
feel like I just lost my friend.
And you know what I like about it the most? It just ends like, no, we're not cool anymore.
Yeah,
That's it.
we're done.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that tore it. I still feel like I'm longing. I'm like, I got to finish the rest of the after game because I'm like, no, there's got to be more.
There's
Like,
gotta
I
be
have
something more
to.
Because a lot of stories always get, oh, we forgive you on that shit. No.
Yeah, Sindri's
His
like, go
brother's,
fuck yourself.
Fuck
yeah.
yourself. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, that sucks. Because he
does
was like
suck.
cool friends with the Atreus and all that shit.
Mhm. And like that was it was
And they were,
go ahead.
and then they built up so much shit too because they had that whole thing with Atreus. You're running around Sindri and Atreus when you're doing Atreus' level,
Yeah.
and you're having banner back and forth. You can tell they're like the really close friends.
Yeah.
And then, dude, when he's just like, "Get the fuck out of my house," I was like, "Ah!"
God, this is a fucking video game too, by the way.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was feeling him.
so fucking good. This is
feels
the
like you
best
lost a
story
friend.
I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the only story comparable, like I said, is The Last of Us 2.
I mean, in movies and comics.
Oh,
and
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Like, this is fucking.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
tier.
God of War, the narrative is so fucking spectacular. And I the thing that I like about it, and I'm gonna read it right off of here, is like it's generally a franchise that doesn't set out to be like a grander than life story, despite all the godliness involved. All of these characters are human, dealing with the consequences of their choices or the familial trauma that came about from the choices that they're connected to.
Feels grounded.
It feels grounded in reality.
You can see you see like a lot of that with like Odin and
Yeah.
Freya, just like choices and
Love her. She's awesome.
just
Yeah,
like the
Freya's fucking
choices that
dope.
we made and then the choices that you are going to choose to make.
Going to make. And then like the whole, and again, it's like a pretty classical archetype. It's like a character defying fate. Because Loki is like the agent of change. He's like the god of change. And I feel like they really exemplify that in God of War Ragnarok.
There are like elements here and there, but I don't think they go full fledged with it.
They don't go full-fledged with it, but I think that Loki, whatever happened to, because the entire prophecy got kind of shifted thanks to Loki. Like they didn't make a full-fledged Ragnarok. They Kratos didn't die the way that he was supposed to die, and so like Loki is like very subtly changing the way that history is playing out, and I think that is going to lead to a much more impactful, like once they diverge the game into like its own Loki game or whatever. I think that's going to matter a lot. But I like the fact
So you
that
think they're gonna make a whole game with him?
Yeah.
the way they set it up when like, and this is like my favorite line in the game, and this is when I knew
Fuck, the ending is so good, dude.
that Kratos had completely changed as a character, is when he says Loki departs, Atreus
I was
stays
getting
here.
watery. God.
Dude,
so
fuck.
fucking good, dude.
So good. And then like right before that, and then there's so many really great moments because like the game, like you have this grander than the character story going with Ragnarok and the destruction of Asgard and everything like that. But the priority is always the characters. It's never the world. It's always what's going on with these 5 or 6 characters that you have. And so like even like you kill Heimdall, which by the way, most satisfying death in any game. I fucking hated that little
Fuck
cunt.
his ass.
You know, that's I do have a weird hang up with that.
Yeah.
Because I really, really wish we could have came out of this where Kratos didn't kill anybody. That would
I
have
really
been
wish to.
That would have been a real change where he was like, this character is so hateable and I want him to die so badly. But Kratos is like, no.
But here's the thing. I think we got that because Kratos tried to not kill him.
Right.
Kratos gave him mercy. He let him walk. And then Heimdall, because of his own hubris, decided to still keep attacking. Yeah. And so at that point, Kratos is a reasonable character, and he was having genuine change up until that moment. But he's not so much attached to the chain in an unrealistic way that he's not going to kill Heimdall to protect himself.
No, that he snapped back to his senses after he was done.
Yeah.
I mean, he has control now.
I did like how Atreus did forgive him though for that. He was like, okay.
Yeah, it was like it needed to happen. And I think that needed to happen because that death was the moment that Kratos decided he wasn't going to be the god killer anymore. Because he saw, like, even right after he's done strangling Heimdall, you see the regret in his eyes. And you see, like, how he feels the moment Mimir says, you shouldn't have done that, brother.
Or when Brock dies, Kratos is like, we're done.
Yeah.
I love that too.
It's
Like,
fucking
we going home.
We're done.
Because, like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Wasn't his fight to begin with, and like the fact that he adopted the fight and continued after that moment like means a lot, because it also means that he changed as a character, because now he has people that he cares about.
I just don't want to forget this thought. Right after you kill Heimdall, and you're on that flying ship and you're flying away, and then that one dude with the big sword, right, falls down and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you guys go find him?
Sorry again, City. I don't.
There was a dude with a giant sword on the
dwarf.
The one.
Did anyone go find him?
No.
Did you?
There's a whole secret level with that.
That's awesome.
Where there's a dragon and everything, and I went to go find him for like this, like us doing a side mission thing. Whole secret little fucking level in there,
The trophy.
Is that
and you wouldn't even know it's there.
I was like, side quest where you follow the pig.
No, it's when Freya's brothers, his guys, dies.
No, I know. But did you find them when you followed the pig, or is that another quest altogether?
No, that. No. You go out of your way to go to find his body or something.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, there is a whole little level back there.
That's funny.
That if you go find him, and then it's like this crazy world. There's also something with time, because there's also there's another lightning streak that's frozen over there, and you're like, and then Mimir's like, I feel like I've been here before.
Oh, I see.
You guys gotta go. If you don't, you gotta go check it out, because I was like, when I found it, I'm like, no one would know this was here. This is a complete side mission, and it's a whole nother level.
But that's what I love about this game. It's like how big it is without you even knowing how big it is.
Also, like,
I'm really happy you guys didn't find it, because now it's like it is an actual secret level.
Speaking of time,
touch your microphone up there.
It's right here. Yeah. Speaking of time, so Angry Boda and Atreus did create what's the snake's name?
The world serpent.
The world serpent.
Yeah, they did create. It was that little fucking snake.
Yeah,
and they got bigger over time.
But did he make a new serpent, or was it the same serpent?
If you look at a Thor boss fight, when you in Ragnarok and you see Thor fighting a snake, it's brief, but Thor hits it and it warps back into time.
Yeah, he knocked him back through time.
Yeah, it just like plucks in time.
That's crazy.
So when Mira kind of catches on, he catches the time loop during I think after the post game, just treading in Midgard. He noticed it like, holy shit. He clicked on like that snake was the snake they were talking about before.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
He's like Atreus must have had an interaction with the snake prior.
Because because
they knew each other. Yeah, because they acted like they knew each other.
Yeah.
Because in actual lore, Loki did birth him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did it different in this game. Like they gave a giant soul to a snake.
Yeah. And then Fretnar too, the giant wolf, that was also a child of Loki. Fenrir, yeah. But that was actually supposed to, which I'm not surprised they didn't, but that was actually supposed to kill Odin. He was supposed to eat him.
Oh, I remember. That's right. You did say that before. Yeah.
Dude, Fenrir, that was so fucking cute when they brought Fenrir back.
Yeah.
I was like, that first of all, that boss fight with
God, dude.
Griff? Or the green wolf.
Yeah.
The Grim or whatever the fuck it was. Crazy ass good boss fight. That was like
the skill of it.
Amazing. Fucking blew me away.
You can tell he's a master from how far back he is. And like the skill is so.
But like when you were like right next to him, like his claw was the size of Kratos. It was fucking crazy. And it looked really good. Mechanically, it was like a super interesting fight. And then the reward for that is that you see little Fenrir come back. It's like a giant wolf. Amazing.
God, this game does so many payoffs really well, dude.
Yeah. And the thing that I want to keep harping on, because the narrative, like the game was played well, but the narrative is truly like where the game shines.
Yeah.
And I love that like every character goes through their own version of growth. And like every character does the same thing. And this is like a theory in like narrative making. It's like your supporting characters have to go through the same arc that your main character has to go through, but in different ways. So like Freya had to learn how to forgive and let go of her anger in order to like collaborate with Kratos and stop Odin.
Did you go to her wedding? It's a side mission, but her wedding mission.
Yeah,
I think I
did.
did it. Yeah, I think I
You
did
get like
it.
a sword with it, but it's like her where she had a wedding get or whatever. Ceremony.
Yeah, I don't know. Then I didn't do it.
There
I
was
just-
one guy on there where you had to find one of those dudes where it keeps them alive.
Mm.
And there's one guy I fought for 45 minutes straight because I could not find the thing keeping it alive.
Yeah.
It was driving me up a wall. I was like, where
was-
the fuck are you?
I ain't never played The Witcher 3, but people say the side missions are fantastic.
Yeah.
And people was comparing to God of War Ragnarok and like how these side missions are like really
side
depth.
side
Yeah.
missions in Witcher 3 feel like main missions. Oh no,
So now I
just like its
understand
own
what
little
they're talking
thing.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they have like their full arcs. Like the side missions have their full narrative arcs within them. It's awesome. I didn't do a whole lot of side missions since I wanted to get through the story.
I try to balance it out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to.
But yeah, those shut the fuck up. It's at 12:30. Yeah. But yeah, those. What I love about it is that like every character goes through their own growth. So like Freya has to learn how to forgive. Atreus has to learn that he can be his own person. Even Sindri goes through like their own version of growth. Mimir has to go through his redemption arc where he has to forgive himself for what he did. For Odin.
Did you guys play the well? Did you do the whole well thing?
I was doing some of his submissions with his like his lover or something. From the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Sigrun.
Yeah.
Sigrun, I love
she was
that
awesome.
character, dude. Dude, when you got to him and he was like, he threw on the holy shit.
Sigrun, who was that again?
Sigrun was the Valkyrie that Mimir fell in love with.
No, Sigrun. The lava guy, with the
Oh, Sotor.
Oh yeah.
yeah, he opens up his chest.
He's the guy that does he's the fire giant.
Sotor, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really funny. He just fucking flicks you away. It's
God,
like,
I
oh,
love
hey.
that.
Part of Norse mythology, he's like one of the oldest like beings. In
Yeah,
Norse mythology.
he's like the Titans in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Right. I do wish though when they was writing his character, they didn't make him so kind of like modern day. Kind of wish they would have kept him a little bit ancient. Just the way he talks, he's like primordial stuff. Like,
The way some of these characters talk, it doesn't fit in this world.
Yeah.
Like
Sometimes
Odin,
it's a little
like
weird.
Odin should be in like the Bronx.
Odin reminds me of like if you pick any movie from the 1990s to 2000s where like the character is like a half Jewish New Yorkan.
from The
That's
Wire.
exactly what
Yeah.
Odin is.
I gotta edit that. Odin's from The
apparently,
Wire.
that character's from The West Wing. I've never watched The West Wing, but they said like people who's watched The West Wing, they were like they couldn't unsee him.
That's so funny.
Odin has this look that I've seen with real people before, and it fucking annoys the shit out of me. I've seen that look this character does.
Yeah.
He does like this look stare thing. And
Yeah.
like, I've seen this before, and it annoys the shit.
It's like the manipulator stare.
It's really well done how they animated him.
I think Odin is one. Odin. This is my favorite interpretation of Odin. And there's something that I like. It's like it's not a deconstruction, but it's like a
Like like they respin him a little bit.
It's more of like a de-romanticization of villainy of like evil characters.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
Odin doesn't have a really definitive description, does he? It's really vague, right?
They had the spirit of the character there because
No, I mean like
in
real life. Like we don't really know who.
No, he doesn't have a really. He doesn't have a particularly physical description.
I think just an older man,
That's
big,
it,
big
right?
beard.
Mhm.
I think that's like kind of like Odin.
But he isn't like like Thor is known to be an asshole or something.
Yeah.
We don't really got much for Odin, right?
We don't really. No, I don't think so. At least not that I know of.
Odin is more. They did the character justice because Odin has a thirst, a quest for knowledge.
Yeah.
He's constantly trying to do something where he's gaining knowledge in some type of way.
In the original Norse mythology, that was Odin's quest. He just wanted to know more so that he could prevent.
So that
Ragnarok.
actually is a part of Odin's
Yeah.
mythology.
Because
Okay,
he's
got it.
going through that knowledge so he can
Okay.
prevent Ragnarok in the first place. Because
Okay.
they know that Ragnarok is like the end of Asgard.
Got you.
So what I was saying about the character growth is like because every character goes through their own arc, you can then see Kratos be influenced by them learning how to forgive or them learning how to like let go of their grief or the anger. And by the time that you're in Asgard storming the wall, you see Kratos as adapted and has learned all of that thing. Specifically in the moment where someone dies or like Odin is killing all the Midgardians.
Yeah, just kill him. Kratos like, the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah. And then like Atreus is like, no, close your heart to it. And Kratos like grabs him by the shoulder and goes like, no boy, open your heart to it. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Good lord, dude. Such a great change for Kratos' character, dude.
Yeah.
I love him so much in this game.
It is it is just a phenomenal way of like
Okay, like fuck those people. Literally though, but it's nice to see that.
yeah. And it's nice to see that Odin was like such a deconstruction of villainy all the way up until the very end. Like a reinterpretation of villainy.
Yeah, he was like very likable.
Yeah.
Like I kind of it started growing on me. I'm like, holy crap, this character's really well written.
So
Because
go ahead.
because you know it's coming. He's going to do something evil.
Yeah.
But you kind of really it starts growing on you a little
Like
bit.
the same journey that Atreus went to. Like the first time Atreus went to Asgard, he was like kind of falling into Odin's spell.
Yeah.
Before we get deep into Odin, though, one of my other criticisms, though, and I kind of get why they do it, because they're telling you it ain't nothing to worry about. But I literally want to know what the hell Odin was looking for. That rift, that dimensional breach thing.
That was all knowledge.
But what the hell was in there?
It was just
The knowledge of everything.
the
I
knowledge
think.
of the universe. It was like how it was created, how to prevent Ragnarok. It was like literally the
That's some
knowledge of
cosmic
everything.
level shit there.
Yeah.
See, I really thought like all the giants were in there or something. He was gonna open it up and it wasn't really, or
didn't
there was some
think
kind of
that.
monster in there.
I think like a higher being or something. But the game literally tells you shit don't even matter. Make your own
it doesn't.
destiny and future. Whatever.
Make your own destiny,
Yeah.
write your own faith.
I got it, but I also want to know what the hell was in that.
Now you're Odin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting Loki to get the mask for you. It was I think Odin was really real win. How do you feel about Thor? I really like Thor.
I love Thor. I love Thor. They didn't use him as much as I wanted them to use him.
It was subtle.
There,
Like, where he
it
came,
was there.
he wasn't my favorite.
Mhm.
I prefer Odin over Thor, but I do like how they made Thor more of a tragic character.
Yeah,
Because
he just wanted Daddy's approval.
yeah, not only that though, but you also killed his sons too. He kind of like had a grudge about, not a grudge, but he kind of.
Now, hang on. Now we're gonna have to talk about, because I know we keep skipping over it because we got to talk about what they did with the Thor and Kratos fight at the beginning.
Oh, that was
We
crazy.
have to talk about it,
That was crazy.
dude.
dude.
First of all, great.
When I played that, I was playing it right. Like this
Yeah.
is fucking cool. He kills you. He
yeah.
breaks you up. I had to pause the fucking game. Like I said last week, they don't fucking miss. Oh my fuck! It was so fucking good.
Dude, I was playing, so I didn't know that happened because I legitimately
dude.
avoided the entirety of like spoilers. Like,
Yeah,
every time God of War
same.
came on TikTok, I would like skip past it. And I was doing
This got
that fight.
spoiled, by the way. No one saw this.
Really? Yeah.
Thank God.
Dude, when
Fucking-
go ahead.
that moment was like, I'm getting my ass fucking handed to me. And I thought that I was okay. Well, like the game screen, like the same game over screen happens. Like, oh, it's supposed to be like a scripted loss. It's a weird choice for God of War, but then he was just like, I'm not done with you yet. And he fucking like defibrillates you. What the fuck was that?
It's so fucking
That
good,
is
bro.
such a good fourth wall break.
Yeah.
I literally I did the same thing that you did. I was like, I gotta stop for a second. I gotta
like,
process that. That was amazing.
After that happened, I had to go on Twitter, and everyone is freaking out, like, posting their reactions to this shit.
Dude,
It was
fucking awesome.
so fucking
when
good.
I was doing okay in that fight, and then when he killed me, I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. Like I slowly like place my controller in my lap, waiting for. I'm like, I gotta wait for this stupid thing, and then I just hear in my headphones, it's like, I'm not done with it. I'm like, oh shit!
That's a level of hype of the game. And it's so fucking good. They did it so well, though.
And it's the one time in the game that they break the fourth wall. The one time. And they fucking nailed
I was fucking shell shocked. I was like,
I
what?
watched my PS. I forgot to turn it on, but my PS5 can let you set like hear your voice
Yeah.
while you're playing the game.
Yeah.
But when the two Valkyrie fights and Kratos and did it and Trey did a combo, I'm like fucking like laughing like holy fucking shit. They posing and shit. God,
They're hitting like Power Rangers, dude. They're
I'm
so
like, fuck, this is cool, dude.
Dude, it's such an awesome. God,
it's so
good.
fucking good.
And
dude.
then when fucking when they're fighting Odin, when they're fighting Odin, and it's Frey.
I love the edit on TikTok.
Yeah, dude, they were like hitting him with the fucking boom,
Fight back! Fight back!
and then like Atreus is jumping off of like Kratos' back, and he punches him right in the fucking
Let him
face.
get up, let him get up. They beat the shit out of him.
Dude, I love a good gang fight.
Oh man.
Oh, dude, it was so fucking great.
But like even like the fucking the Hellwolf fight was like I just love the scale and the immersive of it. It was so fucking
That was a
good.
complaint from the first game that people are like, there was no big epic fights like that.
and
So-
they worked on it in this game a lot.
Yeah.
Especially what took me a surprise too, which I knew this creature was the Nighthawk. That
Yeah.
was cool as
The
shit.
Hellcat was a really cool fight.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I didn't expect to fight that thing there, but they brought it in the game. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
What I'm really excited about is for like whenever they do the Loki game, because he's going to like be working with giants
Please
and
go to
finding
Egypt.
giants. I would love to see like a Shadow of the Colossus take on Loki's thing.
I can see that.
Where he's like
That's
fighting
like
giants to like
great.
redeem them back or bring them back into like their natural state.
Holy shit,
That'd be
that's a great take on that.
Yeah.
I can see that too.
I would be killer.
I feel like he's gonna be like, if I had to make a wild guess for like what that game would be like if they do it, it'd be like him going to different continents and then fighting different gods and stuff like that, or fighting different type of enemies.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be something because like Loki's. I think it's gonna be something like that where he has to go to like the different realms and find all of the giant souls, the giant marbles,
Right.
To like bring back the giants to Ironwood. I think that's like what the ultimate goal for that would be.
I did wish Angry Boda went with him. That's what I thought they were gonna do.
Yeah.
But she just stays.
Just stay sitting here.
But I think what they're gonna do though is it's gonna be a Miles Morales situation where he will have his own game.
Yeah.
But we're not done with Kratos.
No, Kratos still has one more game in him.
He has plenty, honestly.
Yeah.
He's just a hero now.
Yeah.
But like, I think they're gonna do like a Miles, not in terms of like size, but like it's gonna focus on him first.
Yeah.
But the main games will be Kratos,
Well-
and he will come back to like Spider-Man 2 is gonna be both the characters.
Yeah.
When do with God
That'd
of
be a
War,
cool way to handle it.
When Corey was handing off the game to the
Eric?
him, when he was, there was 3 things that had to happen. Was Atreus has to leave, Brock has to die because that's the family dog, and then you have to kill the family dog.
Nah, they call him the dog.
And then
Narratively,
like that is like because you have a fond soft part. So but they have to take that away from you, and then Ragnarok has to happen.
Yeah.
So he needed for Atreus to leave.
Yeah. And so like that's that's really the great character moment for Kratos is realizing that in order for his son to be happy and for him to have a good relationship with his son, he has to trust him.
God, that was hard too.
Yeah.
Dude. Jesus.
He has to, and that has been Kratos' journey since God of War 2018, is learning how to trust Atreus.
We can grow, yeah.
Because Kratos didn't trust himself to be a good dad, so he couldn't trust his kid to be a good son. But now Kratos has learned what it means to be a good father, and so he knows that Atreus can now handle whatever he needs to handle without him there. And that's the character choice that I think redefined Kratos as like an angry dude into a stoic but emotionally supportive father. Into what I think is single-handedly the single best representation of positive masculinity in gaming ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Kratos went from the most toxic, vile piece of shit to the most amazing interpretation of positive masculinity that's available in media right now.
The scene where the one you mentioned before, where they after to finish the Hell Wolf or whatever, and just sitting down.
That was the part I text you. I'm like, there's a part coming up that's gonna kind of make you cry.
Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, this is gonna break to you right
Even
here.
the first 15 minutes of just.
I teared up.
I don't get personal with it, but it's so fucking spot on.
Yeah.
The first 15 minutes.
Was there any point in the game where you guys cried?
That apology moment, because I related a lot to Atreus of having all of these expectations put on you,
Yeah.
and having to work by like the edges of people's perception and having them not trust you. And then like when Kratos sat down and acknowledged that, part of me felt like it was talking to me. I was like, I'm fuck. You know, like,
Again, they feel human, and like the fact that I'm relating to these gods and stuff. Like, holy shit, the fuck.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really good though. But like that moment, and especially the ending where. What do you say? With Loki and Atreus?
It was like Loki was saying, "I gotta go get the giants," and Kratos goes like, "I know."
Yeah.
And it's like Atreus stays, Loki departs.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a caveman way of saying it, but also such a like a cute acknowledgement of knowing like the person that I know as my son will always be a part of me.
And
but you have to go be your own person now.
He looks behind the mural too. He actually sees like, holy shit, people. When Odin said, you don't know what it's like being praised by mortals or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, he's not being praised as a god, but like, oh, he was a fucking hero. People love and respect this guy.
God, that was...
And that moment there was like, Kratos finally came to fruition there.
Yeah.
We saw that like, he's not this angry god anymore.
No, he's a hero.
You could see it. You could see in his face. I was gripping my
big relief
pillow.
of him.
I was like, yeah, he was being praised as a god finally.
That's what he wanted the most. Like,
Not feared as a god, but praised as a god.
But the interesting thing is that like Kratos started his journey as a general of an army and ended his journey as the general of an army. But it was like the positive version of that versus the negative version of being a general in Sparta.
like a warmonger, dude.
Like a warmonger. He's like, I'm fighting for the greater good here, and I'm making decisions that'll help save lives.
Please. Give me your power.
And that's what I think was like the fact that that happened to Kratos. And you just made me realize that because I didn't even register that they praised him as a hero. But like having that praise from the people that he's not viewed as a monster or a menace.
That the whole part at the end where they're like, he was like, I'm not going to be the general. Like, I'm not going to do this. And then everyone was like, they had all the people just looking at him like General Kratos and General. And they were looking to him as for leadership. And I'm like, oh, damn, dude.
This game is really fun.
The game is God of War Ragnarok, I think, was like the most, over the last like 10 years, I think it's, like you said, with movies and games, I think it's one of the most top tier storytelling that I've ever experienced.
Well, also that because, like, that's why on the side topic, but that's why I haven't watched the Last of Us TV show yet.
Yeah,
and I don't have an urgency to because it's like I know it's an adaptation.
Yeah,
but I think what I love about the Last of Us games because I'm actually playing those games and growing with these characters and playing. Playing it gives it a little extra spice to it.
It elevates it a little bit.
That's why I feel about the God of War.
You get a real connection to it when you're playing it.
So that's how that's why I think what helps it the most. Why it makes it like more. Say they're gonna make a God of War TV show. Yeah, and I'm like, nah,
I don't feel we need it.
That's how I feel about the Last of Us TV show.
I watched like the first like 30-40 minutes of it. It's kind of like it is literally the game. Yeah, and it does. I know exactly what you mean when it's like I don't feel like super connected.
I watched the entire first episode. It's an hour and a half pilot for the Last of Us TV show, and it's like
I'm not discrediting it. I heard it's fantastic.
It's the game with extra steps. It's what it is. Yeah. It's just like they have to add in scenes to make it work in a TV show.
That's what Neil Druckmann said.
I'm a little impatient about it. Is kind of like what my last. And I think I'll feel the same way about a God of War TV show, because like you have to justify so much narrative, and then like you can't make a whole new story, but if you remake the game, then like kind of like what's the point?
Yeah,
for people, that's already that's going to watch it.
But if you make a whole new story, then you're kind of fucking up all the narrative progression that's been happening in that story already. So it's like a lose-lose when you make an adaptation like that.
I'm not a big Walking Dead fan at all. Yeah. But I played the Walking Dead Season 1 game. That game gave me more attachment compared to anything Walking Dead offered me.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a level of like being indirect. I think interactive media makes it more better for me.
Yeah.
That's why I like pit at such a high standard. Like
I think so
I don't think a lot of movies, and from what I've seen, I'm not consuming a lot of media like you guys still, but like it's just still one of the best stories I agree. Experience in a very rare.
I've watched a lot of things over the last ever since God of War Ragnarok came out. I've watched a lot of movies and I've watched a lot of TV shows, and I think that it is
like I'm constantly thinking about it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
I need to watch the Northman. I think it's on HBO.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, I heard it's good.
But yeah, I personally think that God of War Ragnarok is a perfect sequel.
Yeah,
I think it does everything it needs to do. It does it extremely well. It does it extremely efficiently. And even though like the game, some people had some pacing issues, like it dragged on a little bit too long.
Yeah, that's a lot of people had a problem with Ironwood.
Yeah,
I still don't understand.
I don't understand either, because for me that was all moments where I was spending time growing with Atreus. I was like learning about Atreus
and her as well. Like that's it.
So
it was needed.
Yeah,
I think Ironwood did run a little long. I think the part before that where you go find Freya, I think that was a little executed a little bit better for him, because then you got like time with him and Sindri and everything. I didn't hate Ironwood. I did feel like I did hear people talk about where the game kind of has like a part at the end where it kind of drags, and I'm like, oh, this is the part that we're talking about.
Grandmother.
I liked it. I liked it. It's crazy because I get it. I get why they would say that. But I loved all that time that I spent with Atreus.
My one hang up about playing with Atreus was, and this is just me personally, was just like I felt like I was kind of wasting, XP in my time with it, because I'm like, I'm not going to use this when I'm doing a boss fight as Kratos.
What do you mean?
Like I can upgrade Atreus as my partner, but I'm not like going to be fighting Odin as Atreus.
Right.
So I was like, I'm getting XP and I'm doing all this for kind of like nothing.
Well, the counter argument to that, which I also understand what you're saying, but the counter argument to that is that the game is balanced.
Yeah.
For the character that you're playing as.
And then I'm almost like, the game would have been better off if that we just played as Kratos straight through.
No. I think Atreus was needed.
I think that I think the segments with Atreus were like a really, because you have an A story and a B story, and then you have the convergence of A and B at the end. I think that the game would have significantly suffered narratively if we didn't get to play as Atreus.
I get where you're coming from, the Atreus bit. They probably gave you an option to choose who you want to play instead of the storytelling to choose. I think you won't feel that it's like less needed or not a waste of time. I guess that's probably what you mean.
Yeah, I
I
don't
wish
know.
that you could have earned XP. I wish if this was the case.
I think you did get a little XP for Kratos when you did his missions too. I mean, like, I think it would kind of give it like just for your time for spending it. And I just felt like I'm not really going to be using him. And then I'm like, if they kill Kratos off and then I play his Atreus for the rest of the game, that's fine.
Yeah.
If they
I actually would've hated
do
that.
another game with Atreus in it, I think they will have to have Atreus accept the fact that Kratos will die.
You want more
Yeah.
like a GTA 5 kind of type of deal, like switch.
Where they
between
can switch
characters?
between the two characters.
No, because then I didn't like that either. Because then I'm like, I'm having to fucking. I don't want to have to just put it all in one person and then.
Yeah.
I don't like having it like mixed up like that. And that's again, that's like I said, like that's kind of like just a me thing. I wasn't vibing with it, but
It was about maybe 60% Kratos, 40% Atreus.
Yeah, I would say it like that. I think if for every 10 hours that you spend with Kratos, you spend like
3 to
2 or
5
3
hours.
with Atreus.
Yeah.
which I get it. You needed it for the story plot and everything like that. And
But-
they had to have some type of combat with him.
I was actually shocked how good it is.
It's
Yeah.
good. No, don't get me
When
wrong.
you turn into the wolf,
Yeah, that's kind of finicky though.
Yeah.
When he turns to the it's a rune ability. He turns to
the deer.
yeah. It does not feel.
he
good.
doesn't. Oh yeah, no, I hate that. I hate the summoning.
Yeah,
The summoning
there we
runics
go.
are annoying.
The one with all the crows is
That
fucking
sounds pretty hard.
badass.
That
I
one
did
is
like
pretty
that
hard.
one a lot.
Yeah.
But
When he
that's not you're not turning
When he
anything.
turned to the deer thing, it does not feel good.
I love turning into the wolf, and I love the story moment where he can finally control the bear transformation.
That's his
and he's
anger.
fighting with Kratos
Yeah.
as the bear, because that to me is a reflection of what Kratos had to do. Kratos had to control his anger to be who he was, and then we have Atreus doing it a little bit easier than Kratos because he had the guidance of Kratos, and then just turning into a wolf and just fucking.
Would it
the
be
shit up.
fucked up if Kratos killed Atreus with the boss fight? They fight each other.
Yeah, that would have been
great.
great. That would have been fucked
I
up.
would have
yeah.
cut his head off and then it's like the trace is laying there.
Fuck.
Oh fuck, Freya.
So, while we know like little details where like they did the part,
Yeah.
we know what he's going to do, find his giants. What do you see the future of the franchise like?
I think I see.
Wait. Before we get into that, can we just go back a little bit? Just like I just want to talk about gameplay just a little bit
Yeah,
longer because
yeah.
the gameplay is really good. Did you guys have any like what was your experiences with like fighting like hard characters and then boss characters and stuff like that? How'd you guys feel about the bosses? How'd you feel about the was it the Viking guys? I forget their names.
The H guys.
Yeah, there's like two different
They're
versions.
basically
of them.
Valkyries of the.
Yeah.
Yes,
game.
and then there's
They're
another
easy
set
to
of
beat.
those guys where there's one guy that they drag swords, and then
oh yeah, the
those guys.
travelers.
and they have very specific ways you can only you can't attack them with range attacks.
Because the travelers were in the first game, they were like a big boss in the first game, but like a normal character here.
So
Yeah.
this game, in terms of overall, when I die, it felt like my fault
yeah.
Yeah.
instead of
Like you wasn't adequate. You're like I could have been better with that.
yeah, because like especially I forgot what do you call the break? Is it the breakers? The sub bosses of this game? They're optional.
The berserkers.
Berserkers.
Yeah, the
Yeah, so
berserkers.
like I didn't do the Valkyries in the original game because they were pain in the ass.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
either.
I
Fuck
did
this.
one Valkyrie and it took me 4 hours.
Fuck
Yeah.
that. Actually, people said this game is harder than the Valkyries. I'm like, what the hell are you guys talking about? The berserkers are here easier than me, but I did 2 of them.
Yeah.
And you look at the combat, like they have a pattern,
Mm-hmm.
and all that shit. You can still beat them, but it's what I mean about like not having good timing with their attacks. Stuff.
Sometimes I did feel like I got cheated a little bit with some of those guys.
You do.
Like
I
sometimes
only-
I'm like I
one did
think
you
I'm pretty
fight?
sure I was doing good.
Yeah.
Well, the one frustrating thing is like you start learning their combo attacks and then you're like, okay, I'm doing it, and they're almost dead, and then they fucking cheese you.
Spamming.
Yeah, and I'm like, you motherfucker! Like this
Yeah.
is
out of big coincidence when it's spam.
I never had that problem with them. Every time the boss fights, I had a relatively decent time. I think the most
Both
that I
are
died in a
fairly easy. Yeah.
the more that I died in like a boss or like an optional boss fight was 3 times. And I only died more than that if I was like severely under level for the fight. And so like I was like, they had a purple health bar. And I was just like, okay, I'm not winning this fucking fight. That's like the only time that I died and I felt like I just couldn't handle the fight. But every other time, the most that I died was when there were more than like 3 enemies on screen.
Talking about the what is the power source called?
The Bifrost?
Bifrost enemies.
No.
Fuck
So in God of War, like green bars means that your level, your XP is more than like they would be.
oh
Your orange bar means that you're equal. A red bar means that they're one level above you, and
Fuck,
purple
I never
means
realized that.
yeah,
I didn't know that either.
and purple means that they're like 2 or 3 more levels above you.
I never encountered. Well, because you're progressing faster than weren't you?
Well, because I'm a fucking psychopath and I don't do side missions.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what you were
sometimes.
doing, wasn't it?
So
Yeah.
I was getting my ass whooped by like at some point in the game, if you don't get enough experience, optional boss fights, that the side mission boss fights are too difficult
I've seen green and red, but never purple. Holy shit!
because you're just too under level for that fight. And so like the berserkers were those for me. Like the berserkers would beat my ass because I didn't have the health capacity to like take their damages.
Yeah.
So like one hit would take me 1/3 of the bar down,
Yeah.
and they have like a 3-hit combo. And so like that was the only times where like I died because when I felt like it wasn't my fault. And even then it was my fault because I didn't progress through the game kind of the way that the developers intended me to. I was like just bomb rushing.
One thing I do is a nitpick, and a lot of games do this, not just God of War Ragnarok. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I hate when games give me armor.
Yeah.
It's one that looks really cool, and I want to wear that armor,
Yeah.
but I gotta wear this stronger, less looking cool armor. I know
Right.
that shit. I hate
That's also
games
part
do
of why I
that.
died a lot
Yeah.
because I refuse to wear armor. That looks bad. I will wear a weaker armor if it looks cooler.
It looks
Yeah.
cool because my armor, my go-to armor was the one with like a blue padding.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. That's the one. But I wanted to change it because I'm so sick of seeing this fucking armor. I didn't get the red armor.
I wish they would have done something like where you can equip a certain type of armor,
But take the stats.
but have the stats of a different one underneath it.
That'd be fucking cool.
Like have a cosmetic armor and then a real armor.
Yeah, I would love that they did that. 'Cause- And people, one of the people I agree with, it's minor though, but people was kind of mad that the box cover or the introduction created to the campfire.
I wanted that.
Armor?
Wait, yes,
Yes,
where
yeah.
that wasn't.
might come in
that
new
armor
DLC.
is at the very end. You do get the armor. You just don't get the cape with it.
I want the cape.
The
But
cape-
It says harder.
I get it. I wanted the cape too. I wanted the cape. That is the
get armor though?
that is the last armor you get before the Ragnarok fight.
No, that's not
and
the
it's called
armor.
Fate Breaker,
yeah,
which I love.
Fatebreaker.
I love. I
It's
was
the
like,
armor that you get from Lunda.
and it's like the
Tyr's
classic. It's
I
a
thought it was,
classic armor from the first game, but it's all nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the
It's like
war
the-
armor. The red
No,
armor.
The red armor is the Fatebreaker. It's the one that you get to. You know how in like in the last stretch of the game, like
you get-
Freya,
She gets
and
armor.
they get all red armor. You get that version of that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need to talk to Lunda to get it.
No, I have it.
Yeah,
I just didn't realize it was the original armor.
It's a
it's
cover
like
art.
it's just the strap that he has on his shoulders and like
Yeah, it goes. It
Holy
just
shit.
covers here.
So
and
it's a
then
cape
it's-
that's missing.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's the only thing. And the reason that they probably didn't have the cape is because you need to have like the.
Yeah, this says really hard to animate. They need to put in a new game.
But
plus
damn,
some
I
other
really
shit.
wanted that fucking cave. I was like,
looks
I
raw
need.
as fuck,
I
man.
know, dude. And I was like, damn, I need that shit.
Maybe that blind directs that shit. But nah,
But when we got it at the end, I'm like, they can't fit the cape in because of the fucking weapons.
Because of the weapon.
I get it. Yeah. The ring will work, but
Yeah, I fucking love it.
They could have had the weapons like over it or something.
it will look tacky.
I
It'll
know.
look- Yeah.
Oh, damn it, dude. It's not fair. It ain't fair.
But no, like compared to the original, we speak on gameplay. But like I said in my review, like literally everything the game offers you in terms of combat and enhancements and all that stuff, that shit matters.
Yeah,
It changed your game. Like we said, they all had different experiences. Like for a moment, I was using the time thing, which I didn't really care
the
for.
realm shift.
Yeah, but I was using the what do you call them?
The runes.
The other option R1 and
The
You
relics.
said it earlier.
The relics.
Right. There's so many. There's so much stuff.
the
to
one.
add
Well,
in.
what's the button that uses time shift thing?
It was a relic. So it's like after you kill Heimdall, you get the R10. They're
R10.
called relics. Yeah.
So I was using the one that throws that little blast thing
Yeah.
that come out. That's the ones I was using. Shit like 3 things. It keeps my distance.
Yeah.
Or like how the game. You had to find like there's some abilities in this game. Like I look at the post game, like some things I didn't get yet.
Yeah.
Different rune attacks. Like what the fuck did that come from?
Yeah.
I think there's rune attacks that are like
They're like
post game that are really strong. Like
Yeah,
there's
gold
one where you
chest.
hold Amir's head and he shoots a big beam out.
I
of
have
it.
that one.
That's fine.
Yeah, that one's cool
I
as
didn't
fuck.
know that one
Yeah,
existed.
he shoots Bifrost at his eyes.
Yeah.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah, it's not. It just stuns him a bit.
Yeah.
It's not as cool, but it's cool. There's other stuff like that.
Can I say before we wrap up the show and like give our final verdict and go to four, like Mimir, one of the best companion characters.
Yes. Oh my
ever.
god, dude.
The uncle of the game.
The uncle of the game.
Yeah.
It was, I think Atreus.
Yeah, he said something at the end of it.
He says something. I think to Kratos. He goes like, "You really do love him like a brother, don't you?"
Yeah, Kratos calls him a brother in the game.
Yeah. It's so fucking cute.
I like the moment him and Atreus have a moment at the end of the game where Atreus was talking to Mimir and was like, I think he said I love you or some shit.
Yeah. Atreus goes, I love you, Mimir. And he goes, I love you too, little lad.
Yeah.
I fucking God.
It's
I
been
love
together for
Mimir.
5 years, but just this head.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best supporting characters. I said this before in the 2018 game. It still is one of the best supporting characters.
You can sit there and listen to him talk all
Yes.
day.
I will
And they
listen to
find
audiobook
ways
again.
to make him interesting,
Very
despite
interesting.
being just a head.
He's just exposition.
Yeah.
Literally he is.
And
He's
it's
fucking
and
fantastic.
They
though.
justify it within the lore. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
they
like,
do.
Oh yeah, he's just a dude that knows everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like fucking.
And you know
sick.
what's funny? It's not powered either. Like,
No.
I understand it's weird, but it's like he doesn't tell you how to do everything.
Yeah, he just knows information.
He knows information.
But you gotta ask him shit.
In
Yeah.
the actual lore, he's actually the reason why Odin has no eye.
Yeah.
Because he told him, because Mimir told him, you have to take your eye out and put it in the well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, that's the actual lore. I think I forget the.
Oh yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Like in this game, he just looks through the crack of knowledge and like it burns his eye
Yeah,
out.
Yeah.
I like how I knew a little bit of knowledge, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna enforce that. They're not gonna enforce this.
Yeah, I was looking for some stuff you said and when we had the 2018 review, right? We were talking about, and there was some stuff here and there, but I was looking for more of like Loki's change aspect of it.
He was like the god of change for everybody
Yeah.
though,
'Cause I
because he
knew-
was going by and changing everyone's kind of outlook at a lot of stuff.
He's the catalyst for everyone's growth in the game. He's the only reason. Like he's the reason why Freya forgives Kratos. He's the reason why Sindri goes fucked up. He's the reason. He's everybody's reason for character development.
Yeah.
He's like, gotta
Dude,
change.
Kratos and Angry Bros are cute as shit together.
Yeah, they are.
I love it.
They are.
Oh, what shit? What about the other one? I like them.
I hate her hair.
Who-
Thor's daughter.
Thrud.
Thrud.
Her
Yeah.
hair pisses me off. Like,
Sif. Sif was a baddie.
she didn't do anything.
And she wasn't.
You know who
she
that
didn't
was?
Need to do anything.
You know who that freaking
Yeah,
was?
who?
No.
The woman from I think I might be wrong, but I think it was the girl from Daredevil.
No,
that I
that's
hate.
That's Kratos' wife.
Yeah,
That's Faye.
Faye.
Oh,
When I was playing it, like I know her.
I know her face. Yeah.
Hey, you know
yeah,
what?
I was like, who is that?
Speaking of Faye, we still don't know
Who is
much about
Sif?
Faye.
No, we don't know. We don't know anything about it.
She just gone.
She's just gone, which is
okay.
fine. I think she did her
Doesn't
character
matters.
purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sif was a fucking baddie and a half.
She
But
looked
that was a-
accurate to her Norse mythology design.
Yeah,
too,
she's pretty
actually.
fucking sick. Thrud was pretty cool
No,
character
it's
too.
Freya. Freya. Not because she's a great character, but
Yeah.
Freya.
Thor's character development to me, and we can do a whole nother thing and like just talking about just the supporting cast
Yeah.
because this game is so good. But Thor was a really good character too. I really liked what they did with him. Sucks that he died. When he died, I was like, well, maybe we can use Mjolnir. But we didn't get to use
Oh yeah,
Mjolnir.
so that was my expectations.
That was me
like,
too.
And like I'm glad because I think Eric
Same.
said it's too predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
Everyone was saying that like, oh, he's gonna get the thing. Because I was looking at the fucking. You play the game. There's like light coming out some level design of the game, like
Yeah.
some lights popping out. I'm like, what the hell is that for?
Yeah.
I was always gonna be the Thor's hammer or whatever.
Oh,
No,
it's
it's
a
a
spear.
fucking spear.
Yeah. Which honestly, I like the spear a lot.
At first, I was like,
Yeah.
it didn't feel right, but now I understand its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Pretty sick.
probably my least favorite, but I don't hate it.
I actually used it a lot towards the end.
Yeah, I had to.
I liked
I mean, you had to. Yeah.
No, but I chose it a lot versus like some of the other fights.
Emily Rose. That's her name.
Emily Rose.
Emilos is who voiced Sif.
Nice. Yeah.
That
Sif
movie
was sick.
scared me as a kid. Scarred me.
What's that?
Go up.
Which
What
one?
is
Movie
this?
scarred
The
hell out of me.
Exorcist?
Emily Rose. Yeah.
Yeah, she's interesting.
We terrified me.
Wait, she has the same name?
Yeah, that's
guess.
like Emily Rose.
What the fuck? That's
PTSD.
weird.
Okay.
That's
We got to end the
based on
show.
real
Yeah. Is there anything?
No,
all
I
right.
think, I think
anything?
I covered
well,
everything that I wanted to say about the game.
favorite thing? Anything you didn't like? There is one thing I didn't like about the game.
No, there's nothing I didn't like.
I didn't like so many puzzles. I thought there was too many puzzles.
Oh, I love the puzzles.
Think.
No, dude, there was too many
Talk
puzzles.
about the whales in the water, you got to freeze it and all that shit.
Dude, I did a lot of side missions and everything. And I'm like, I'm doing so many goddamn.
Every time that
Puzzles,
I got stuck
dude.
in one puzzle, it was entirely my
It wasn't like the puzzles were bad.
Yeah.
It was just there was just too many.
You just want to deal with it.
I was like, I just want to bash dudes' faces in.
Yeah, that's funny. I loved it. I thought it was fun.
I didn't bother. I said mine. Like I wish Ragnarok was a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I say? Oh, the nitpick about the costume.
Yeah. I didn't have anything significantly that I think I would change for the
No.
game. I like the pacing.
I love the game. Yeah.
I like all the character moments. I like everything.
The
about
skill
game.
tree was kind of like a little overwhelming at first. It took me a long time to get used
I wish
to it.
the one thing that I do wish is that I wish like the complicated moves were a little bit easier to understand how to use them.
I did like. Well, it's nice though because then you can kind of like you could if you really wanted to do some sick combos and you really wanted to put the time in like a fighting game, you could do all those.
They're all the same combos with different animations.
That's there's like different combo finishers, but I wish like moves like throwing the axe when you dodge and like doing some kind of like special attack where you add another finisher. I wish that instead of like being like combo inputs, they were like
oh, you could just hit square,
inputs,
square, and then
like just like
triangle or
delayed.
something.
When I was playing the game throughout, literally from start, there was a combo from the 2018 game that I wanted back so much.
Yeah.
Because you know when Kratos in 2018 game, he does a combo and the axe spins in front of you.
Yeah.
I wanted that back so bad.
It was pretty good.
But they took it out. He has different movesets here.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
That was my only nitpick is I just wish I understood the combo system a little bit better. But you don't need to understand that to like get through the game.
That and then I wish they never the fucking Amir thing where you're like, you're on fire. You're on fire. When you're on oh my god, that was annoying.
Yeah, you're on fire.
When you're fighting like the lava dudes, like that, like and then the ground, and you like go over there and you do something, and they come out and you start fighting them. Anytime you catch on fire, there's always an audio. So either Atreus or Mimir is like, "You're on fire," and it was like, "Oh, this is very apparent that they're gonna keep saying this."
Careful, brother, you're on fire.
Yeah, it's like they could have cut that out a
Or the
little
fucking
bit.
poison plant things.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're poison. Those were kind of annoying, but those are just small nitpicks. I just want to see what.
Over the grand scheme of things, that is like the only negative thing that you can say about a game.
Yeah.
It's a fucking masterpiece, isn't it?
I will say though that I didn't have like that emotional impact like I did in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first game, I truly felt like I had a son and I was trying to protect him. I really did. I was like,
Under the swag of a black teen. This
I
one's like, I truly have a son in this game.
yeah, I was like, holy shit! Like I have this small child, my small child I have to protect.
That's so
And
funny.
when I felt like, and I was like, and maybe it's just because it's the first game, but when I was slamming my axe down someone's throat and I was really like nailing into him, I felt like I'm like, but this game I was like, I was a lot more like combo heavy and I was like switching through and stuff. I think the combat is like more fluid, but I thought
It
the
wasn't
combat
as animation centric.
yeah, I thought the combat in 2018 just felt real, more grit. But that's me. Overall, though, game is amazing. Couldn't have asked for a better experience really with it, and I really need to go back and finish the post game stuff.
For me, it's a 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt about it. I think it's a phenomenal game, amazing experience, amazing narrative, and like I feel like in an era where everybody's trying to be like subversive and like clever with their writing, God of War just picks
Just
a
a good
story
story.
and just goes through it, and it's good.
What about that? It like a lot.
Play
It justifies itself in a lot of fucking ways.
Mhm.
Like it's just a good game.
Yeah,
And it's a single player game. Single player matters, dude. Like,
it does.
It's funny
Sony's
and,
killing
like-
it with that.
huh?
Sony's killing it with
Yeah.
the single players.
But like, I noticed this when I was playing Batman Arkham City back in the day.
Mhm.
That's what really clicked with me. Like, I really, really love single player games because I always had the best experience here.
Yeah,
And that trend continues with God of War Ragnarok. And like, just
Agreed.
love that shit. Being in my own space, play with some fucking headphones, just like
yeah,
master.
play with it. Yeah, definitely play with it.
Don't play it on TV. Don't.
yeah.
Put headphones on. You're in that world, dude.
Yeah, it's
Hear
awesome.
the wind blowing and all that shit.
Oh,
yeah.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, it's
Play
a
it.
masterpiece of a game.
Yeah, play it.
Play it.
Worth all my time and money. Like I love when I buy something and it's really worth it.
Yeah,
This
Yeah.
game does that.
absolutely. How about you?
Yeah, dude, I couldn't have been happier with it. I thought I was like, I am God of War. See?
If you haven't played it, you should totally play it. It's a phenomenal game. That being said, we're wrapping up today's show. We will see you next week.
We appreciate you guys coming down, hanging out with us.
Yeah.